All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one from the Aztec for Life blood drive. We'll be here for the next 4 hours. I want to say we've been here each of the last 4 years, and it is a great cause with the holiday season now underway. If you want to give blood today, you can go to goaztecs.com/blood drive. We'll have great guests today. J.D. Wicker will swing by, San Diego State's athletic director. But as Jim just told you, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, feels like, Jim, every single time we're on remote, we get an earth-shattering story involving San Diego sports. We should have said when we signed off yesterday, maybe the Padres will be sold tomorrow since we're going to be at Viejas Arena for the Aztec for Life blood drive. And lo and behold, Kevin Acee was the first to report on this news. And it's not overly shocking considering what's played out over the last 2 years since Peter Seidler's death. But still, anytime a team explores the possibility of a sale, that is a franchise-altering moment. So the Padres are going to pursue a sale, which means they are for sale. Yeah. That means John Seidler's tenure is going to be short-lived. This means they're not going to foresee the wishes of Peter Seidler, who said that the team could remain in the family for 50 or 75 years. And it's just there's so much to react to. The Seidler lawsuit, to where we are today, what it means for the Padres on field in 2026 and beyond. But certainly it's an altering day for the Padres. They will explore a sale of the franchise, and what that means, nobody truly knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. And if anybody today says they know what's going to happen, you don't know. You don't know anything. We don't know anything. We just know, what was reported on today. We don't know all the details. We don't know who's going to, buy the team, if they're going to sell, because this isn't, a situation where they are 100% selling, even though they're going to 100% sell. They're going to 100% sell. But, the Twins and the Angels were in the same situation recently, and they didn't end up selling. Now, the Nationals, another team, kind of did the same thing as the Padres are doing right now, and they did end up selling. But let's all be real here. They're going to sell the franchise, whether it be, 51% or 50, it doesn't matter. They're going to sell the franchise. It's going to happen. So I think, the first thing today, when you think about it, man, if you're a Padres fan, from what's happened the last 2 years, from the passing of Peter Seidler to right now, yeah, I know that there's been some winning seasons and 93 wins followed by 90 wins and, playoff heartbreak after playoff heartbreak. But we talked about it in January when the Seidler lawsuit dropped. The biggest story with this franchise, until we hear otherwise, is that lawsuit. And I mean, it wasn't said today, it wasn't reported by Kevin, but I mean, come on. How could you not look at this and put two and two together? That the fight over the control of the Padres and the lawsuit that Seidler dropped. I mean, she's posting stuff today on her social media. How could you think anything but that has affected the timing of this sale? We all knew that eventually this team was probably going to sell. I think the biggest surprise today is not that. It's the timing of it, that it happened so quickly.
Yeah, it is quick. It's an interesting point. We'll hear from Eben Novi-Williams in a moment. He broke the initial lawsuit story from Shield January 7th of this year.
Yeah.
And we said in that exact moment, and people said you're overreacting, we said, this, until proven otherwise, is the biggest story involving the San Diego Padres. And we said it'll be on the back burner, but always remember that this lawsuit is going to hover over this franchise moving forward. Now, to your point, this has happened in a relatively quick manner, the fact that they could be sold at some point in 2026. I would say this, and you tweeted something similar to this earlier today. I believe in the short term, this is going to impact them negatively in 2026. I can't sell this as a win in 2026 because this is going to hover over them. It's going to impact their spend. Their spend has already been impacted the last 2 years. They haven't spent a dime the last 2 years. I think it's going to impact them again in 2026. I think the short-term loss could be negated by a long-term win. Because getting this out of the hands of John Seidler, ultimately, for me, is a win for Padres fans. What has this guy done? We haven't heard from him one time. What have they done since Peter? What have they really done to honor Peter's legacy? Now, I can't guarantee you the next ownership group is going to be as good as Peter, but is he going to be worse than what we've seen under John Seidler in terms of his commitment to Padres fans? I mean, John Seidler is living with the benefits of everything that the previous ownership group did for him, in my opinion. Seriously, all of their successes are based on Peter's tenure here, not because of John Seidler. So I don't think it's a win in the short term, Jim, but I could see it as a win in the long term. Now, you can't guarantee it. Maybe the ownership group will absolutely suck. But if you can get an ownership group that's better than the one that they currently have, I could see it as a long term win, even though short term, it could sting in 2026.
Yeah. How is this not going to affect the 2026 season and beyond? I don't know how it wouldn't. It absolutely will affect the 2026 season. It is the biggest story with this team. The selling of a franchise, that's the number one story until you sell the franchise. And, when I posted that on Twitter this morning, like my first thought, yeah, good. Eventually,
yep,
the Seidler bros, they would have ruined this franchise. And it was already going down that path. Do you really want John Seidler in charge? Ask yourself that if you're a Padres fan. Do you really want him in charge? Now, you could also play devil's advocate and say, well, what if
they sell?
It could be worse. What if they sell to somebody that, looks at this as nothing more than just a investment, and they just want to, they're super rich, so they just want to buy something, and they don't truly care about the product, and they're not invested like you want someone to be invested. Like, that could happen. Like, do I trust the Seidler bros to make the right decision and selling the team to the right person? Honestly, not really. I really don't. I don't trust them to go out and pick the right person to be the successor of the Seidler family as, owners of this franchise. I honestly, I don't. But at the same time, and we said this in January and February, like, if this is going to impact this team from going out and signing free agents and being able to keep this team in core together and spend money, then go and sell the team, because they're better off without you. They don't need you here to mess things up. And I look at it as eventually John, who doesn't even want the job, by the way. Like, let's just also remember that. The guy doesn't even want to be the control person / owner of the franchise. He never speaks. He never will speak. He is a guy that will never do anything in this town or city to have anybody like him. I mean, that Seidler name, other than Peter and Shield, like that's not a name right now that's in good graces with the fans. It's really not, other than Peter, because the brothers and John, they are they're like enemy number one today with what Padres fans.
Yeah, I mean, the shame of it is, like, how could Peter Seidler have wished this upon the Padres organization when right before his passing he spoke about this team being in his family's name for generations, and then less than 2 years later you're going to sell the team. Now, one thing that you said about, do we trust the Seidlers to make the right sale? That's their last priority. They're not in the business of making the right sale. When I sell my home, do I want to give it to a good owner? Do I want to make money? They could care less. There's no part of this that's like, oh, you got $2.6 billion, but you're an LA-based group, and there's a scenario in 45 years where they could care less about if it's the best interest of the organization or the city of San Diego. This is about maximizing the sale. And listen, we're going to hear from Eben Novi Williams, because this was predictable the day of the lawsuit. I mean, what he told us when he broke this story January 7th is the most likely outcome is what's playing out here today. Brent, this is from John and Jim, January 7th of this year. Eben Novi Williams, he broke the lawsuit story on Sportico. This is what he said was the most likely outcome.
It's tough. And if I think back right now, some of the biggest major sports teams that have had kind of ownership infighting like this after someone died, a lot of those teams end up getting sold. The Baltimore Orioles, I think, are a really good example. The Angelos brothers, this deal was struck before Peter died, but there was a lot of struggle within the Angelos family about what the ownership structure was going to look like when Peter Angelos was gone. That team obviously ended up selling to a group led by David Rubenstein. Another big one from the past few years, the Denver Broncos. When Pat Bowlen died almost a decade ago now, his kids could not figure out who was going to run the team, how they were going to consolidate ownership in a way that would make the NFL okay with keeping it in the family. And as a result, that team sold to Rob Walton for $4+ billion. So oftentimes when we see fights like this among family members, the end result is the team gets sold. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. Every situation is different, but very often when you see arguments like this among family members, the end result is that everybody goes their separate ways, and they go their separate ways with a pretty big financial check.
Bingo.
Called it to a T.
I was this year, January 7th of this year.
Not even, what was it? I mean,
not even a year.
Not even a year.
Yeah, not even 11 months.
Not even 11 months. And called it to a T. I didn't expect it to happen this quickly, but I think we all kind of expected it to happen. You know, Dennis just put out an article to The Athletic, and the first line is, in a widely predicted move, the Padres have been exploring a potential sale. So while some fans, and maybe a lot of fans today, are shocked by this news, this isn't as shocking as you think, because, you know, as Dennis has written here, and Kevin's reported, and other reporters as well, like, you know, one, the Padres don't have the revenue flow that's needed in this day and age of baseball to compete at the highest level. And let's be real here. The Seidler brothers, kind of by the looks of it here, kind of broke, or they're not as rich as we thought. They're not Peter Seidler. They're not Peter Seidler who would, you know, even it's like you know, if you have that uncle and all of a sudden he's just paying for everything, you're like, how do you pay for this stuff? And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, that's who Peter Seidler was. Peter Seidler was the, hey, I'll pay for this. I pay for this. And then when you ask the question, like, how are you paying for this? Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I got it covered. This is not his brothers. His brothers are not Peter. And so because of that, this isn't a surprising move today.
Yeah, and Dennis reports the Padres are carrying massive debt. $300 million of debt is what Dennis is reporting. So to get underneath that debt, you can always sell the franchise. And to the point of Evan Novi Williams, when you sell, everyone gets paid off, and this franchise should sell for over $2 billion. Kevin Acee, who initially broke the story and had the initial reporting, will join us coming up at 2:30 p.m. Remember, we heard after Shiel Seidler's lawsuit from the organization, the Padres were not for sale. That's what Eric Grupner said. What has changed? That's next. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, if you do want to give blood this afternoon, it's going on until 6 p.m. GoAztecs.com/blood drive. We're at Viejas Arena on this Thursday. Again, if you want to give blood, support our community, critical time. As always, GoAztecs.com/blood drive. We'll get more on this coming up with San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, at 3:15. We're reacting in real time to the news that the Padres are exploring a sale of a franchise that they said as recently as this year, after Seidler's lawsuit was not for sale. Now, things can change. We'll hear from Eric Rupner, but they did say as recently as spring training, Jim, they were not for sale. Now, it's been 9 months in spring training 2025, and that's a lot of time, so things can change, but certainly it's been an about face because we were told they weren't for sale. A Seidler was going to run the organization.
Yeah.
And now 9 months later, we don't even know if a Seidler will run the organization in 2026.
No, do you have that sound, Brent? So Eric Grupner, this was Marty at spring training, just flat out asking Eric Grupner, are the Padres going to be for sale? Here's what he had to say.
I have been told multiple times that the team is not for sale and will not be sold. The Seidler family has viewed this team as a generational asset. Peter spoke about that. The rest of his family has continued to speak about that. This team is not going to be relocated. This team is not going to be sold. The commitment remains to keep this team in the current ownership that it's in right now and continue to run it the way we've been running it.
Generational asset. A 1-year generation.
Yeah.
2025.
You know, if Peter were here today, he would be disgusted with what's happened in the last year between his family and his wife, the control of the team, and now the team being up for sale.
He passed away 2 years ago tomorrow, by the way.
And it's a very weird feeling because I vividly remember us being at the blood drive, sitting across over here after the passing of Peter Seidler, maybe just days.
Probably days later.
Or maybe it happened that I don't fully remember, but
yeah, I mean, it happened November 14th, 2023.
Okay. I know we're at the blood drive after his passing. It's just a weird feeling being here. But yeah, if Peter were here, he'd be disgusted with what's going on right now. And it's just it's a sad, sad day when you think about it that way. When you think about Peter and what he meant to this city and what he meant to that franchise and what he meant to the fan base, to know that, you know, his dream of keeping the Padres in the Seidler family for generations to come, to be passed down one day to potentially his children, won't happen. And it quickly changed on a dime, all starting with the lawsuit in January. That's when the ball got rolling, and we are here 9 months later. It's just a sad day. It's just sad. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I do almost wonder if Peter was still controlling the franchise, would the Padres have been in a position, and this is hard to say, nobody will ever know. It's not about the bounce of a ball, but would the Padres have been in a position to win a World Series in 2024 or 2025 or 2026 that they will now not be in position to win? Because I'm telling you right now, it's only gotten harder since Peter. They put themselves in position in 2024 where for a moment it appeared as if they might have even been the favorite to win the World Series. It feels now like they're further away than they've been over the last couple of years. And I can't be sold that the 2026 Padres have a better chance of winning a World Series than the 2024 or 2025 Padres. Like, to me, it's only slipping further away. And that's why I say in the short term, it's a loss. Now, I think in the long term, you bring in the right ownership group, and maybe they will be committed like Peter was, or put this team in a position to succeed. But I don't know, man. I mean, they can have their top 10 payroll, but they've already got their top 10 commitments. It just seems like you're going to have a comparable team without a big offseason. Like the last 2 offseasons, they've done nothing. And I'm not expecting some big moves this offseason. And it just feels like you're falling further and further behind in an effort to do something that Peter wanted. He wanted to bring a championship to the city, and it doesn't feel to me like they're as close as they've been to doing that right now.
It kind of feels, when you look at it and you take a step back, that today is the end of this Seidler era with the San Diego Padres. It's not official yet. They haven't sold the team. We don't know who the new owner is going to be. It could take years. I mean, it could take a year. It could take 6. I don't know how long it's going to take for this sell, to go through, or them to find somebody or whatnot. But it does feel like today is the official end of the Peter Seidler / Seidler era with the Padres. And it started in 2020, and now we're in 2025, and the team is about to be up for sale.
Honestly, I don't even want to give the last 2 years that era. Like, I don't want to tie John Seidler's ownership group the last 2 years to Peter Seidler's ownership group. Like, I think they're completely separate. And I think we're then giving John Seidler credit for something that he didn't earn or deserve.
I'm not giving him any credit. I'm just saying, like, the Peter Seidler / this team being owned by a Seidler.
But I think it's way different. I think the last 2 years, just because the last name is the same, I think it's been a lot different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if the last name was Schaefer, you would call it a different era.
You're right.
know?
But at the same time, this organization is going to go through some huge changes,
Which are probably needed.
Probably.
To your point, if it stayed in their hands for the next decade, are they getting closer or further from the prize?
Further.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
And so with that being said, I mean, does anybody want to give credit today to the Seidler bros? Not really.
Right.
But if you look at it that way,
yeah,
credit to them in this aspect. At least you knew now.
Yeah.
This ain't for you.
Right.
And because it's not for you, and because you would have done a horrible job in the future with this franchise,
I agree.
Get out now.
Yeah.
Sell the team now, because the in a relationship, it's like we have a kid.
Yeah.
And the parents just stay together, but they know this is over, and they stay together for the kid, and it makes the relationship even worse. It's like, just cut the cord, rip the Band-Aid, get out, because if you were to stay, this thing would have gone downhill fast, I think. And so from that aspect, good on the Seidler bros and John Seidler for realizing this ain't for them. They're not cut for it, especially John. He is not cut to do this. I knew that from the second he wouldn't talk to the media, from the second he has not talked to the fan base in an open, segment other than in a controlled setting. When he went out and flat out said that he is the biggest Dodger fan, or was the biggest Dodger fan.
Right.
Like, everybody thought I was stupid and for thinking that was a red flag. Like, come on, guys. That was the worst first impression you could ever make. And from that moment till right now, he's done nothing for me, or I think any Padres fan, to look at John Seidler and today be sad that, John Seidler's selling the team. People are sad that it's come to this, that it's come to the point where Peter Seidler, his vision is now, it's done.
Yeah, now it's going to be ultimately in the hands of someone else's vision moving forward.
Right.
All right, Kevin Acee broke this story. He will join us on the other side. Why do they announce it now that the Padres are exploring a sale, and what did the impact of Shields' lawsuit have on this process? Kevin Acee from the UT, our insider, joins us next on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. The big news of the day, Kevin Acee, who will join us next, reported it first this morning that the Seidler family is exploring a sale of the San Diego Padres. And tonight at 6 p.m., Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis getting you ready for their game against Boise this Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Need better sleep? Score huge deals on your perfect bed at Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Stop in today and let the sleep experts find the right upgrade for your unique needs. Mattress Firm, they make sleep easy.
All right, again, the story of the day was broken by Kevin Acee that the Seidler family is exploring a sale of the San Diego Padres. And Kevin back with us right now, our Padres insider on John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Kevin, it's been a busy start to your offseason. We appreciate you taking time for us. I guess I would just start with this. Why now regarding the timing of a potential sale of the Padres? And thanks for hopping on.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I can't say for certain. This was something that was on the radar of, anybody that was following the team. I'm sure it was on yours that ever since Peter died. But in terms of like, why now? Look, you got the labor situation coming up. You've got a TV deal, national and perhaps a local bundle, uncertainty that could be great, might not be. What if it's not? Then the sale prices of, the values of teams might go down. Like, it's better to be out in front of that. You have the fact that, look, the reason that this was on our radar as a possibility was the Seidlers can't really afford to play in this game. And then when I say the Seidlers and 8 or 9 other owners, to have a top 6, 7, 8, 9 payroll and be saddled with some of the contracts that they are, and to be thinking long-term down the road, being competitive. This game's not getting any cheaper. Players aren't making less. AJ Preller can't always pull rabbits out of his hat at the trade deadline. It does make a lot of sense that now would be the time. This check was going to come due at some point for this family. And by the way, that includes if Peter Seidler owned the team. And we can get into that, but this team has been saddled with a large amount of debt for a long time. Peter Seidler was not a billionaire. Like, right there, this is sort of writing on the wall that something was going to have to happen for the team. And that could have been a fire sale and keep the team. That could have been, just gradually lower the payroll and keep the team. That could have been, and it appears it will be now, sell the team.
So do you believe, and none of us know this, but as you mentioned there, if Peter were alive today, and it's kind of ironic that this announcement came almost 2 years to the day after his passing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Padres would be doing the exact same thing right now, where you would report the same thing this morning that the Padres would be looking for a sell?
No one can say that,
right?
But that's why I'm like, the check was going to come due. There was something, right? Like Major League Baseball was going to step in 2023, as they did around the time and after Peter's death, and say, look, guys, you got to get some things in order financially. That was whether Peter was the partner, the chairman or not. And might Peter, with his passion for the team, his, art of the possible, might Peter have found some solution, brought in other partners or something like that, sold off a portion of his, who knows? But they were out of, being able to get any more money out of the owners. They did a couple cash calls there. Peter put in his own money. And so something was going to have to give. Peter, the quote that's brought up, Peter talking about how it was sustainable. Peter saying it wasn't a one-time thing. Well, those are words. I mean, Peter, I'm really not trying to rain on the Peter Seidler statue committee. I'm not. I would chair that committee, and I can sing his praises all day long. But I'll just say that it was not sustainable spending at the level that he did, and especially with some of the commitments that he spearheaded to some guys that they'll be paying for a long time.
Kevin Acey's our Padres insider. Pretty fascinating stuff. Again, the Padres are exploring a sale of the franchise. In your opinion, what role did Seidler's lawsuit play in this news?
You know, I can't say what. She's not speaking right now. I haven't been able to get in touch with anybody that represents her, and I haven't seen that anywhere. I'm not aware of any social media postings. I have not reached her, so I can't say that there was an event, right? But the threat of Seidler needing to, saying, okay, well, I accept that I'm not going to ever be in control of the team. Okay, then I want to sell. Well, the Seidler family can't afford to buy out her 24%. So that's the greatest stake in the team. So if she sold it to someone, that person was going to become the control person. And then why are the Seidlers even in this? And so, that is, it definitely played a role in the long-term viability of the Seidler family keeping the team. I don't know of a direct event that's where she's like, all right, I want out. That I do not know. But certainly the fact that she, or not her, as the beneficiary, she and her children, the trust was the largest, or is the largest stakeholder in the team, that certainly played a role.
That's interesting. Kevin, when you look at today, a lot of Padres fans are rightfully so, sad. And there's uncertainty, obviously, when you have a sell of a team. It's going to be a very uncertain future. But I could also argue this is a good thing because you have John, who, let's be real, doesn't really want to do this. You have the Seidler brothers. You have this lawsuit. You have all this debt that you have talked about and is being reported on, and all these contracts. If they didn't end up selling, then I think, and tell me if you agree, that down the road, like you said, this could have gotten way worse.
Yes, and it still might, right? But I love the way you're looking at it because it certainly is true. And by the way, concern is valid also, right? I mean, there's anytime there's uncertainty, and just because some guy comes in who is a true billionaire and has all the money doesn't mean he's going to make the right moves. Steve Cohen and the Mets. Right. But so, we don't know for sure, but that certainly would be a lot of optimism to have if someone with $16 billion bought the team. That'd be great for all of us, right? I like to follow a team that's good and interesting. Of course, I follow a team that is never dull now, and it's getting a little tiring here in the off season. But I absolutely believe there should be a cause for optimism here, and I absolutely believe. Listen, yesterday I wrote. I was not refuting Bob Nightingale's report. I wrote on Bob Nightingale's report. And I rarely will write about something that isn't going to happen, right? I do not poop on other reporters reporting. I just don't think that's right. There's enough of that in the world today. But that thing took legs when he talked about, maybe they'll have to trade Tatis. And look, there is validity to down the road, Tatis being the only tradable guy among the guys who's in, 2028, I believe, through 2033 will make a combined $101.25 million between Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and Fernando Tatis Jr. And the only one you're going to get anything for is unloading the, I believe, $30 million a year that Machado, Tatis will make beginning in 28. So without a doubt, there is some validity to that if you have owners that cannot afford to keep going at the rate they're going now.
Kevin Acey with us right now on John and Jim. Is any of this tied back to AJ Preller's uncertain status, the exploring of a sale with the organizations? Does that have anything to do with Preller's future or not?
It has to. The fact that it's not done, I do not believe that it has anything to do that he will get an extension as long as they don't go in there and lowball him, right? Say, hey, we want you to take a pay cut, because it is my understanding from multiple people that they have not discussed terms yet, but that everyone believes that there is confidence that an extension will get done. But the fact that it hasn't got done in the last month, I can see them waiting to see what happened at the end of the season and all that. But the fact that it hasn't got done in the last, month and a half or so, then yeah, that has to do with this. No one has flat out said that, but certainly people in the organization believe that.
How much does this news affect their offseason plans, if at all?
Multiple people have said, and that's why I have quoted and repeated the quote from Eric Grupner. And then yesterday, as I talked to people that are very familiar with the inner workings, they swear that this will have no effect. And it, look, we're right to question, oh my gosh, because we've seen fire sales before. We know about, at least, we have a basic understanding of wanting to get the books as positive as you can. But look, the reason the Padres are attractive is because they play in San Diego at Petco Park, where the fans have supported them to the tune of record attendances 3 years in a row. And all that is hand in hand with them winning, right? So, what good does it do to stop right now? It just doesn't do any good. So that's kind of the logic that I'm using to buy into what Eric Grupner has said on the record, and that other people have said that they will maintain a payroll in the top 10 and that should allow them to be competitive. So, hey, I'll trust in AJ Preller to make that happen. He unbelievably, for basically net zero, what he did at the trade deadline last year, he'll be able to do something this offseason, and they should be a playoff contender. And I think that people can be fairly confident in that. That doesn't mean they will be, or that we can't all kind of question some things, but I think they'll figure out a way to be a playoff contender at whatever it is, $220 million or whatever.
I do think that's reasonable. And like you said, maybe there's a devil's advocate side of it, but what about the idea that, and things change, but 9 months ago, Eric Grupner in front of the media said the Seidlers envisioned this organization as a generational asset. And then 9 months later, they're publicly exploring a sale. And he could say they envision being a top 10 payroll, but they could still finish 15th, couldn't they?
Sure. And I think they won 93 games at 14th. But besides that, you are totally right. And to the point of what Eric and I believe the Seidlers said, not just John, but probably I think Matt probably in his letter or whatever. But the message was we're not going to sell. Peter wanted this. Well, there's semantics, first of all. And then second of all, that I think any of us who've been watching this, watching sports ownership for a while, took that with a gigantic grain of salt. As you said, things change, and what else were they supposed to say at that time? Plus, gosh, some of what they said was true, but I don't think that there was really anybody paying attention that has. And look, you can't. Not everybody understands it. Heck, I barely understand it. But. What else were they going to say? This was always a possibility.
Probably don't know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway. When you look at a timetable for a potential sell, this, it kind of feels like the timing of this, Kevin, isn't the greatest because you're on the verge of potentially a lockout next offseason. And there's that's before the new CBA and before a new TV deal. So the new owners, if they were to come in before that, have no idea what the other side looks like. In your opinion, what's your best guess on when this thing could really start moving here that we could find out more information?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know exactly when, and I forget the acronym now, but the firm that they've hired, when they got started, right? Obviously, some potential, or you would assume my understanding about these things, some potential buyers have known about this for a while. Could it happen in, 4 months? Maybe. There's a lot of owners and a lot of pouring over the books. And by the way, a lot of loans that went out and all that, there's $150 million worth of cash calls that some owners with interest have to be paid back. There's a lot of fine-tooth comb by lawyers to go over with. It could be very complicated, but they always are. It's a great question, and thank you for saving me right away to say I don't know the answer. A lot of these things can happen fairly quick, and then some of them get right to the edge, and then after a year or a year and a half, and they don't happen. We did have a sale this year, the Rays, and a sale last year, the Orioles, and the lockout has been being talked about since the last one ended. So there's also great optimism within certain ranks of, now it may be delusional optimism, but there's great optimism within certain ranks of the owners in MLB about a new TV package or streaming package or whatever combination. And so maybe it's not as doom and gloom as we're hearing on the outside, where I'm basically thinking, man, I'm going to have a few months off next year. It's really impossible to say, but those are all like really interesting questions.
Last question from me. Two-part. What are they worth? And is it about the Seidlers finding the right ownership group for the San Diego Padres, or is it about the Seidlers maximizing the return on their investment?
Gosh, I hope it's both. I really do. And that might be idealistic and naive of me to say that both are possible, and that if they really do want to leave, because I think they're getting a bad rap. I do. Like, is it John Seidler's fault that he didn't want to be the chairman of a baseball team? And he's tried to do the best he can by, the way he's gone about it? No, like, I think they're getting a bad rap. But if they want to cement Peter's legacy and their own legacy, man, I hope they find the best owner for the Padres, because that sure seems possible. Because this is no longer a Seidler or a O'Malley or a Spanos or even a Steinbrenner. Like, this is new money here. This is big money here, and there are entities and people that want to not only be involved in the game and love the game, but also you can make money. Obviously, the Seidlers will make a fair amount of money on this. You ask what the value is. My understanding is more than 5x of revenue. So the Padres, approximately $500 million a year in revenue, should be worth at least 2.5, 2.75. And then that's billion, by the way. And then it's like, well, is there a bidding war? Is there somebody that wants it, and thinks, oh, well, we can really maximize this? Is it $3 billion? I mean, whatever it is, it's a lot more than the $400 and something million in cash that they paid. I know the price that was reported was $800 million, but these people raised $400 million between them, and now they're going to sell the team for quite a bit more.
Kevin Acee, terrific reporting this morning in the UT and joining us here on John and Jim. Appreciate you, Kevin. We'll check in tomorrow when the team is officially sold.
Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be something?
Let's get over with now. Don't drag this thing out.
Wouldn't that be something? Thank you, Kevin.
See you guys.
We react on the other side, John and Jim. All right, back out here at Viejas Arena, reacting to the news of the day that the Padres are exploring a sale of the franchise. By the way, if you want to get out here and donate blood, you can go to goaztecs.com/blood drive. We're at Viejas until 6 p.m. The blood drive going on until 6 p.m. And J.D. Wicker will join us at 3:15 coming up. Speaking of TV deals, the Pac-12 was a new one that was announced earlier today. We'll talk to J.D. Wicker coming up at 3:15. What'd you say, CBS?
Or no, USA. Sorry.
Yeah, USA.
My bad.
But CBS is part of their TV package as well. All right, a lot there with Kevin, including as to why now. What I got at in terms of the why now is like you're at a point with so much uncertainty. Your debts are piling up. A lockout could be a year away. It's like kind of now or never with the uncertainty. Like if you wait a year on this and you're in a lockout, are you going to get the return on investment you maybe can get at this point as opposed to a year from now and there could be a lockout?
No clue. No clue. I mean, there's so many questions today with so few answers that to try to, come up with like, oh, this is what's going to happen or this is what should happen. And this is like, nobody knows today. This is still kind of like a shock to the system for all Padres fans that, this team is now up for sale. And I know Kevin said there that the Seidler bros get a bad rap.
Yeah, we're going to push back on that.
I will push back on that because we were just talking about it off air. Yes, was it their did they know that their brother was going to pass away and then this was going to be passed down to them? Like, no, this was not a situation where John and Matt and whoever else went to Peter and was like, you know what, dude, I really want to be in charge of this team. They wanted nothing to do with it. And when Peter passed away, it was something that, like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this. So in that aspect, yeah, I can't blame them for that. But when they use Peter's name in the way that they use Peter's name ever since his passing and parading to the fan base about how you're going to uphold his legacy and, do all this stuff for Peter, and then just less than 2 years after his death, you are selling the franchise? What? And all of these things that you said and using Peter's name the way you used it to then just sell the franchise, that's where I have a problem with the Seidler bros. And oh, by the way, I also hate the fact that John is just, I'll say it, too much of a coward to speak to the media and be in an open discussion conversation about the team because, let's be real, he can't handle it and he's too scared to do it.
Okay, to your point, it's interesting you say this. To your point, I agree they didn't ask to be in the situation. Nobody asked for an untimely.
I don't blame them for that at all.
However, I do blame them for their wording post Peter's passing. And the wording they've used has been, we are upholding his honor and legacy to the nth degree, but the actions aren't supporting it. And how do I know that? Because they're exploring a sale, and Peter, before his death, said he wanted the team and his family's name for 75 years.
Exactly.
So you can't have both. You either can follow his legacy to a T and bend over backwards to uphold it, or you can say the day you take over the franchise, I got the same last name. I'm not Peter. We're going to do it differently because we have to. So this is what we're going to do. But you can't say everything's the same. All is fine. Trust me. And then all of a sudden, oh, just kidding. Peace out. We are out to the highest bidder. Like they spent 2 years telling me their goals were aligned with Peter's goals, and they were going to do everything in their power to win a championship in San Diego, and they were going to keep the team and the family's name for forever, and that's not accurate. So, and Padres fans deserve better.
100%.
Because for the last 2 years, they've supported this team like the best fans in baseball.
Yep.
And I almost feel like it was a bit of a facade from ownership in an effort to make sure they still got the support from their fan base for the last 2 years.
If you came out and knowing what Peter said about how he wants to keep the franchise in the family. Also, by the way, the Shield lawsuit threw a giant wrench in everything, right? Because if that didn't happen, I don't know if things are different right now. But anyway, if you came out and you said, look, Peter loved the Padres more than anything. He loved this fan base more than anything. We want to do right by Peter. And we want to do right by the Padres and do right by the fans. And we're going to, we are going to take over this franchise because that's what Peter wanted us to do. But just to let you know, we're going to do right by the Padres, because the Padres, it's just like it's a community asset. It's not something that Peter Seidler and the Seidler family like built from the ground up. This thing has been sold time after time. And so it is a community asset. And Peter loved that community asset more than anything. So if they came out and they kind of positioned it that way, instead of what they originally positioned it, which was this thing is never leaving the Seidler family, we're going to uphold his legacy and keep this in the Seidler name. Like, that's where this thing went awry here. And I don't know if things would be different from a fan's perspective on the Seidler bros if they did that. But I know that we wouldn't be sitting here today, and fans wouldn't be sitting here today looking back at all these quotes and bringing them back up like an Old Takes Exposed account, because they all are just completely contradictory of what is happening in real time right now.
And publicly fighting with his widow.
That's a just
it was not a good look.
End of it.
That again, I think is still part of the bad, look that is going on right now with the Seidler bros, heading into this exploring a sale. All right, more on the other side. What impact is it going to have on the 2026 Padres? Then JD Wicker will join us courtside. We're at VA House Arena. If you missed Kevin Acee, you'll hear him coming up later as well. Great show lined up. We're here until 6 p.m. It's John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Of course, the news of the day, the Seidler family is exploring a sale of the San Diego Padres. More of that coming up later in the show today. And coming up at 6 p.m. tonight, the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with Rich, John, and Coach Lewis as they get you ready for Saturday night's matchup between San Diego State and Boise State. Have an easy holiday only at Staples. Save on custom cards and custom wrapping paper. Great gifts, plus shipping supplies and services to get your packages there safely. Don't miss out on the latest laptops up to 45% off. Staples, that was easy.
All right, hour 2, John and Jim here from Viejas Arena. We'll have some Aztec guests joining us throughout the course of the next couple of hours. This is the Aztec for Life Blood Drive event at Viejas Arena. If you want to donate, you can go to goaztecs.com/blood drive. And JD Wicker actually will join us coming up in about 12 minutes. San Diego State's athletic director. Huge game for the Aztecs coming up this weekend at Snapdragon Stadium. A TV deal announced earlier today as well, impacting San Diego State for the Pac-12 in 2026. But as we have the time, we continue to react to the news that the Padres are looking to sell the team. We had Kevin Acee with us. If you missed that conversation, you'll hear it coming up later in the show. And we're way too early in the process to talk about potential Padres owners.
Right.
And oftentimes when it comes to new ownership groups, it's not like you're overly familiar with them. I mean, we weren't overly familiar with the Seidlers.
No.
When they bought this team, or the name Ron Fowler going back 10 or 15 years. So you see all these names. You say, oh, I hope it's Mark Cuban. I hope it's
Steve Ballmer.
I hope it's Stan Kroenke. I mean, who even knows? I'm sure there's a lot of possibilities. Who knows if any of those have even developed as of yet, but it's way too early to go down that path. I'm sure they'll be reporting in the weeks, months, and maybe longer than that ahead.
Way too early. The hope, it is a multi-billionaire that people know, right? But let's be real here, guys. It's probably going to be somebody that no one knows who it is. Some rando, multi-billionaire that, looks at the team and wants to buy it. I mean, I hope that's not the case for Padres fans' sake. I hope the person that buys this team cares about it and wants to invest on the on-field product more than anything. It's incredibly difficult to find an owner like Peter Seidler who wanted to do that and did it at any cost. He was willing to go above and beyond to spend on the on-field product to bring a World Series to this city. How many owners in all professional sports do you know that are like that? Handful,
not a lot.
Tops, right? A handful tops. Like it's rare. It's very rare. I mean, I would just look at the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban sells the majority share of the Dallas Mavericks to whoever this guy is. I forget his name. And one of the first things they do is sign off on a trade for Luka Doncic. What?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It doesn't. It's not a guarantee that by the Seidler Bros putting this team up for sale, they go out and find somebody that buys this team that is like Peter Seidler. It's the percent chance of that happening potentially is probably low. So, and like you said, John, they're not going out and looking for somebody who is going to care so much about this team. They're going to look for somebody that offers the most money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to money. I mean, isn't it a dollars and cents conversation? Like if I'm in John Seidler's shoes, like put yourself in his shoes, and all the ownership group with all these interests, you're talking about a dozen people, dozens of people, and you're telling me that their primary focus is in finding the right steward for the Padres, or is their primary motivation going to be to maximize their return?
Like, that's just in a perfect world. I'll use his name just because it's the name that's been brought up all day today. I don't think it would happen, but who the hell knows? Steve Ballmer, right? Everybody knows Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
Right. If Steve Ballmer came in, and this would happen, I'm just giving you an example here. If he came in and he's like, I want the Padres for $2 billion. And we know Steve Ballmer, he would be very involved. He would care about the team. He would do as much as he possibly can to put a winning product on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Some rando who nobody knows, who doesn't care about the Padres, who wouldn't really care about the Padres, but looked at the team as like a nice investment because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? That's how sports are.
And they offer $3 billion. Who
do you think
who do you think the Seidlers are going to choose in that situation? The guy that doesn't really care or know anything, but he's offering them $3 billion, or Steve Ballmer, who would care, hypothetically,
right?
That is offering only $2 billion.
And by the way, that now leads me down this path. Stop right now. Even with this sale news that we get today, the exploring of a sale, stop right now with any narrative that the San Diego Padres won't be the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres are secure. There's no reporting to suggest the Padres would go anywhere. Their lease runs for another decade plus. Petco Park is one of the great parks in America. This is one of the best fan bases in Major League Baseball. Just because they're for sale, they've been for sale a lot since 1969. I guess what they've been in San Diego since then. So just because they're for sale doesn't mean the Padres are going to end up in Montreal. I think it's ridiculous to entertain. I've seen some of that out there. I think that, yes, they're ultimately going to be sold, but nobody has to worry about where the Padres are going to be playing games in 2027. I mean, I think that's utter foolishness.
You know how big of an asset Petco Park is?
A big one. It's a great ballpark.
It's
a great city.
It's potentially bigger than the players on the field.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great city. It's a great fan base. It's a great ballpark. They've had success on field.
Yeah,
stop with that.
If anybody today or in the future is discussing or questioning if the Padres are going to stay in San Diego, don't listen to that person. They don't know what they're talking about because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, same the Miami Marlins. And the Marlins aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not even a discussion.
It's not
even worth talking about.
Yeah, but I did want to mention it because I think that it's not reporting. I think that discussion on social media is so short-sighted and so ridiculous, and you haven't really followed the story of what this franchise is. Franchises get sold. That doesn't mean franchises are on the move.
100%.
There have been a lot of examples of franchises being sold and franchises not being on the move.
Now, if you're the Tampa Bay Rays,
exactly.
That's different. But
I agree.
The Padres with
Phoenix Coyotes, there was reporting for 20 years they could move.
Right.
That's a different situation. All right, we're going to take a time out because J.D. Wicker is going to join us on the other side. Busy day here at Viejas Arena. It's the Aztec for Life blood drive. We're going to spend a lot of time on this event and San Diego State football and basketball over the next hour. And, of course, the latest on the news that Kevin Acee first broke that the Padres are exploring a sale of their franchise. This is John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, we are at the Aztec for Life Blood Drive here at Viejas Arena. It's always our pleasure to be joined by San Diego State's athletic director, who's with us right now, J.D. Wicker. A very busy time for San Diego State athletics, the Pac-12, San Diego State football, hosting Boise State this weekend at Snapdragon Stadium as well. We're going to get to all of it, J.D. We appreciate you swinging by, but let's start with the blood drive. So many people in our community giving time here today. Obviously, a very important event. This has been going on for 8 or 9 years here. What do you want our listeners to know? Because it's still going on until 6 p.m. here today.
Yeah, you can still walk-ins or welcomes. We'll be taking walk-ins until 6 p.m. And this is such a crucial time as we head into the holidays to make sure that the American Red Cross and, our hospitals and our blood banks are fully stocked. You never know what's going to happen during the holidays. So really encourage people to come by. There's free cookies. You get a T-shirt.
Free cookies.
Coupons, and I think you can enter. There's going to be $3,000, $5,000, giveaways. So a lot of great things to do, as well as helping out your community. That's what San Diego State University does, and we're excited to this being the 9th year we've done it.
I have to ask you a personal question.
Yes.
Is there what's going on with the hair, man? Is it like are you not cutting your hair for a certain period of time, or? I kind of like it. I like this little mullet action you got going on.
Well, that's what my wife calls it, a mullet too. My daughters have asked me not to cut it.
Okay.
And then we kind of got into we won't cut it until we lose a football game. And then my 7-year-old Waverly Lyle woke up Sunday morning, and the first thing she asked my wife was, how'd the Aztecs do? Because she was obviously in bed before the game finished. And Rachel's like, they had a tough night and they got beat. She's like, and she literally got really upset that Dad's going to cut his hair now.
Wow.
So I've been told that it's okay. You still just can't cut your hair. So we'll see. It's, it's kind of a thing. The girls like it. It's my goal to make them happy.
You got to go through the season now, I feel like. I mean, we're so close to the end of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like.
Men's basketball hasn't launched yet. So.
That's right.
And then there's women's basketball. I mean, they drilled.
Never cut your hair again.
Last night.
I kind of wish your wife was just like, they won. It was you missed it. It was a great comeback. They just keep winning. It's unbelievable. All right, so we're going to get into Boise State this weekend, this massive game that could determine not only who makes the Mountain West Championship game, but who hosts the Mountain West Championship. Before we get to that, though, huge news today regarding a TV deal that impacts San Diego State football and basketball and other sports directly. Pac-12 announcing USA Sports will be one of the TV partners for the Pac-12 beginning in 2026. What do you want our listeners to know about that deal and the Pac-12's TV deals that have been announced so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're thrilled with what we've got now. CBS and CBS Sportsnet, the CW, and now USA Sports. Every football game is going to be on linear TV. There's not another conference out there that can say that. So every one of our, Saturday night game was a little hard to find, depending on where you were outside of San Diego potentially. So now linear TV, I think over 70% of our men's basketball games are going to be on linear TV. We're going to have more women's basketball on linear TV. So the deals are great. And there was a great article by John Canzano a couple of weeks ago talking about the CW. There was a Washington State, Virginia, and then Oregon. I think at that point it was winless Oregon State versus Lafayette at like 7 or 7:30 on the Pacific Coast. And he compared it to the American on ESPN, 2 games on ESPNU, and then like a Memphis, South Florida, one of their bigger games on ESPN2. Oregon State Lafayette outdrew the Americans' big game on ESPN2. Wow. So that just shows you the reach of the CW. So we're thrilled. This is exactly what we were looking for: better exposure, more opportunity for the entire country to see us, and knowing that with the CW and USA Sports, we're basically their number one. We're going to get some good time slots, so earlier in the day, hopefully, so that the East Coast can see us more.
One of the remarkable parts of the announcement for me, I didn't even realize it until a little later in the day, was that according to the Pac-12, the start times will be released in advance. No more 6 or 12-day hold. So San Diego State football, for example, in 2026, when you announce the schedule, or when we announce where the games are going to be seen on television, you're going to know, I'm making it up, San Diego State, Fresno State is at 3:30 on October 18th, and then San Diego State of Colorado State is at 7 p.m. the next weekend, right? There's no more waiting on start times.
Right, outside of what might be non-conference games on the road, where you might have to. But, yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it, and that's, previous iterations before ESPN or before Fox was part of it. It was CBS Sportsnet and whoever. we did have most of our games done like that.
Yeah.
But now knowing that every one of our football games is going to be slotted, so we know from a home game standpoint and everybody can plan around that, that's going to be great.
So getting to the game on Saturday, I mean, you could look at it different ways, but I think that the way that we're looking at it is that's potentially to, for the Mountain West Conference Championship game to host, if you guys win on Saturday night. So when you look at, what Sean Lewis has done in year 2, getting to this point where you get such a big game here at Snapdragon Stadium, what can you say about the job he's done and, getting to Saturday night and how big of a game it is for this program?
Yeah, we knew coming in, we were obviously hopeful to be a little bit better next year, but we also knew, it was a hill to climb. And Sean had told us during the interview process, I know he's said that publicly now, game 14 to 16 is when things really begin to click for a Sean Lewis coach team. And game 14 was Cal.
Yeah, it was
pretty dang well. I mean, I had some donor asked me in the parking lot before the Cal game what my exit strategy was going to be for Coach Lewis, because obviously we weren't going to be very good coming off of the Washington State game. And I was just like, we're 14 games in. Let's just hold on. And it's paid off. I mean, the job that staff has done, putting together a great team, the response of those student athletes and how hard they've worked and how they've bought into what Sean and that staff want to do, it's obviously, you've seen it. I mean, we have played very good complementary football. Defense is outstanding. Obviously struggle on Saturday night, but let's flush that and come out as focused as we did the week after the Washington State game. And, great opponent on Saturday night. We love playing Boise State, really look at them as them and Fresno State, the three of us. I mean, we are Mountain West Conference football. I mean, as you go back, you look at who's won championships in this league, it's the three of us. So the fact that we've got Boise State here and we're playing for an opportunity for a potential conference championship, that's what we're signed up for.
By the way, you can grab tickets for this game Saturday night, and we know there's a chance of weather. Everyone understands that. 2 tickets for $40 at GoAztecs.com. You and I were just remarking, we were both at Hawaii this past weekend. They sold out their game. I would say, a huge number of fans were there. We sat through it. I mean, it rained for 4 or 5 straight hours in Oahu on Saturday, and Hawaii had a very good crowd, despite the fact that it rained throughout the course of the game. So, yes, now that we can anticipate it, you can bring your poncho, you can get out there. It may rain. Who knows? It's hard to predict future weather, but still, it's a massive game, regardless of weather, whether it's 72 or 52, snowing or raining. This is a massive game coming up Saturday night. You can bring your poncho, and you can still enjoy it like the fans did at Hawaii, for example, last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I was really, kind of feeling bad for them that, they had really built up this sellout for our game. And I was like, oh, man, the rain. And 10, 15 minutes before kick, it was not looking great. And then a few minutes after kick, the place had filled in. So, again, and the majority of them stuck around. And, they were there through the third quarter. Watching their team. And obviously we've got something to bounce back from. And I'm looking on Amazon, all kinds of ponchos you can buy on Amazon. So, 1 day, 2 day delivery. So expect to see our fans in a lot of ponchos on Saturday night come out and support this team. And I mean, again, we're playing for a conference championship. Sean mentioned it. We want to have a top 25 fan base. This is that opportunity to really show that, our football team, that we have a top 25 fan base and show up and support these guys. And again, Snapdragon's a great place to, come hang out. And there's definitely some places you can hang out where, you won't get dripped on. Great food, great beverages, great atmosphere. So look forward to seeing a lot of people in the building.
Too bad we couldn't have a poncho giveaway night on Saturday.
If we'd only known.
If we only
we'd
have
only known.
So I want to go back to the 2 for $40. Do you envision more deals like that in the future for games for Aztecs fans?
I think you'll see some things for San Jose State, but we need to sell season tickets. We need people to come out and purchase season tickets and support this program, because again, it is about revenue generation. As we think about all the different things, we've got to pay for this new stadium. San Diego State built Snapdragon Stadium. And no one, our philanthropic donors gave us money, the people who bought tickets, and we did sell 15,569 season tickets that first year. Those are the people that are paying for Snapdragon Stadium. The MLS team, the Wave, and all of that are contributing as well. But we didn't get any help from, anyone outside. So really need our fans to, we've done all the things they've asked us to do. We've lowered ticket prices. Season ticket prices are less when we open the building. 10% for merch off on merchandise and concessions if you're a season ticket holder. We're going to announce a major concert. I think 2 major concerts announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks. You're a season ticket holder. You have first right of refusal to buy tickets. You get a priority opportunity to purchase tickets. So there's a lot built into being a season ticket holder, as well as supporting, your local football team. We are the local football team. We're still Mac Rhodes mentioned us as they were talking CFP the other night, and who was in the mix for the group of 5. And obviously we had, a tough loss, but went out. You never know what happens with everybody else in the league. So looking forward to our fan base embracing this program and, coming out and supporting them.
JD, before you go back to the Pac-12 briefly, is there still more media deals to be announced, or do the 3 deals that have been announced, does that cover the entirety of athletic events, or is there something still to come from a media perspective?
We're still working on what our streaming piece is going to be. So that's still to come, because we've still got some men's basketball, women's basketball, and then our Olympic sports as well. The opportunity to stream those and make sure, they're getting that opportunity to be seen. And we want to find something that's easy for people, to be able to find, easy for people to use. So that's something that, we're making good progress on that, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have an announcement on what that element looks like. But really excited about all the other pieces.
San Diego State, Boise State, Snapdragon
Kind of a big
Stadium.
game.
I mean, San Diego State and Boise State, just the 11th all-time meeting. It's been a great series. The Aztecs have beaten Boise as much as anyone in the history of the Mountain West Conference. 4 times, 4-6 all-time, multiple times on the blue, a couple of times in San Diego, looking for another Saturday night. This massive game. Tickets are available right now at goaztecs.com. You can hear it on San Diego Sports 760. And JD, looking forward to seeing you Saturday night at Snapdragon. Thank you for taking time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun. Go Aztecs.
Ryan Battertelli, we're talking some Aztec hoops on the other side. Men's basketball assistant Ryan Battertelli from Viejas. He's familiar with Viejas Arena. He's here for the blood drive as well. He'll join us next on John and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again, and as I've been telling you, there's no better time than now to get down to your local Toyota dealer. They do have new vehicles arriving each and every day. We're talking about their most popular cars and trucks and SUVs. So whatever kind of vehicle you're looking for, you can hurry into your Toyota dealer today, including make sure to check out their new Toyota trucks. They have the largest inventory of Tacomas and Tundras. They are ready to roll. The Tacoma is known for its legendary toughness, its off-road capability, and everyday efficiency. It's perfect for weekend adventures or just tackling your to-do list. And the Tundra brings serious power, impressive towing capacity, and bold design, plus the latest tech and comfort features. So whether you need a truck that's built for the trails or built for work or built for your family's next adventure, Toyota has you covered. Again, new vehicles arriving daily. Cars, trucks, SUVs. We make it easy. See your Toyota dealer today.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start with the big news of the day. Kevin Acey reporting earlier this morning, and John Seidler sending out a letter to the fan base that the Seidler family is exploring a sale of the Padres. More news on that later in the show. And tonight at 6 p.m., the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis getting you ready for San Diego State against Boise State this Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Have an easy holiday only at Staples. Save on custom cards and custom wrapping paper. Great gifts, plus shipping supplies and services to get your packages there safely. Don't miss out on the latest laptops, up to 45% off. Staples. That was easy.
All right, again, this blood drive, the Aztec for Life blood drive going on right now. Walk-ins, welcome, or make an appointment right now. GoAztecs.com/blood drive. It's going on until 6 p.m. It is great to connect right now with Ryan Battertelli, San Diego State men's basketball. He's an assistant on the staff of Brian Dutcher, and the Aztecs are off to a 2-0 start. And Ryan back with us right now on John and Jim from Viejas Arena. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for hanging out this afternoon.
Yeah, great to be here. I appreciate you guys having me. It's fun to be here in a Viejas, and especially on a day where it's such a great cause to be in Viejas and not be practicing, but we sacrifice our gym for something that's so great like this.
Yeah, it's always unique to see it when it's not set up for basketball, but today, again, making a difference in our community with the blood drive. Let's talk about this men's basketball team off to a 2-0 start. A little bit of a layoff here to get ready for Troy Tuesday night right here at Viejas Arena. Just the 30,000-foot view, how you feel about what you've seen from the team 2 games into the season.
Yeah, I feel like we're making progress. I mean, I think that's the most important thing as you go through the early part of the season is if you see, consistent progress as you go along. And we're fortunate to play those 2 exhibition games because it gave us a real good feel for what our team would look like under the lights in front of, fans. And every single team that we played gave us a little bit of something different, which is a huge benefit in each one of those games. And I feel from the Long Beach State, game to the Idaho State game, we improved. We made progress. We got exposed in different ways in both those games. And we came out the other side of it with really a week and a half or so to prepare for our next opponent. And, we took Monday off after we played Sunday. And then our cadence has been, these 3 days this week of really focusing on us, putting some new stuff in. We may be adding, a new personnel this week that we hadn't seen so far. And so some of that, and then we have tomorrow off. And then we'll really start, locking in on Troy and what we have, moving forward towards that game. Who's a heck of an opponent. I mean, they, consistently a 20-win, team, a coach that has had a ton of success, and so we know we're going to have our hands full.
You didn't have him for the opener, but he returned, making his season debut, first time in over a year because he didn't play last year. I'm talking about Reese Dixon Waters, and he led the team in scoring last game against Idaho State. Just adding a player like that to the fold to already a deep team, just what does that do for the dynamic of your team here going forward the rest of the season?
Well, first off, we're just so happy for him. And I think it was awesome to hear the ovation of the crowd in here when he got announced, and just proud of him and the commitment he's made to getting healthy and to studying the game and doing all the things that he could do in his control, and then obviously having a player of his caliber to add to the mix in terms of the threat that he is offensively, both as a shooter and a decision maker. But he's really stepped his game up on the defensive side of the ball. Like he's taken a ton of pride in being a guy that we can count on defensively consistently, and he's shown that in practice. And so it's both sides of the ball with him, which is, as much as anything, we're super proud of. But to add a player with his experience, his winning pedigree, you can't even explain the value of that, to our team.
Ryan Battertelli is with us, Aztec men's basketball assistant. San Diego State, Troy, Tuesday night, Viejas Arena. You can hear it on San Diego Sports 760. If tickets remain, you can grab them at goaztecs.com. 2-part Magoon-Guath question, one of which is, how different will the team look with him on the floor? We've seen it obviously before, but it's been a while. And secondly, how different will Magoon look at this point in his career? Obviously bouncing back from an injury, but as he evolves, what do you expect to see out of Magoon as he moves forward compared to what we saw last year from him?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's a little bit hard to tell just without having actual minutes under his belt, and the fact that he's only really been live with us for the last 2 weeks in terms of being in practice and what that looks like with this group, because you add new pieces to a group. And then you add Magoon to it, and it's like adding new ingredients to a totally different recipe. And so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like, in terms of what he's looked like so far in practice. I mean, what he looks like. He adds a different element out there on both sides of the ball. The one thing people don't realize about Magoon is how smart of a basketball player he is. I think that's why he improved at the rate that he did last year, is because he took all those experiences, and it was like a software update every time. It's, he took the experiences and he was able to turn those into opportunities for him, and I'm excited to see what that looks like moving forward. Now he's got to get his rhythm back and what it looks like when he's out there running up and down and with the crowd and actual fatigue and all that kind of stuff. But I know that he'll again take all the experiences that he has, whatever that looks like early in the year, and compound those things into more and more progress. I mean, that's the one, if obviously nobody wanted to see him get injured, but not having him this spring and summer to really develop him as much was probably the only the downside for him, because I think he could have been so much further ahead. But I'm so impressed with where he is, given the fact that he was out. Like, he is, I mean, he looks good. He looks strong. He's got confidence, which I think is as important as anything for anybody coming off an injury, is just, do you have confidence? Are you worried about things? And he's not worried about anything. He's out there and he's confident, and he knows he's a guy, which is great to see. And he's, and everybody on our team knows that he's that guy too. And so that's the beauty of it. And that's why he's integrating so well into this group.
LZ Harrington's been, for me, really impressive for the first 2 games. Being a true freshman, well, what's your I guess, assessment of LZ's first 2 games here for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming along really well. I don't think anybody's surprised by his talent, but you never really know what it looks like when he's actually out there in a college game. He seems comfortable. He doesn't seem sped up. He knows the things that he needs to get better at. There's a lot of freshmen that I think are a little bit hard-headed in terms of, I think I'm further along in this area than I am. He's got unbelievable maturity in terms of knowing where his deficiencies are, where he has to grow. He's watching film every day. He's in the gym every day. He's working on his game. And I think that equates to the progress that he's made, and a little bit similar to Magoon. I think he'll take all these experiences and learn from, because he's got a great brain. I mean, he really understands the game. Like I said, he knows where he needs to improve, and he's fighting to improve in those areas. And some of them is just going to take time and experiences, but it's great to see him hit the ground running, see him have impact with this team. And it'll be interesting to see how much impact he has, continuing to move forward, because I think the sky's the limit for him. And whether it's, a game from now, 6 games from now, next year, whatever it is, he's just going to keep getting better. And so that's, we're excited about that.
Ryan Battertelli with us right now. You mentioned Troy earlier, Tuesday's opponent. I tell anyone that asks me, I just tell anyone, like at a grocery store, I'm like, Troy's really good. You don't know the name. They're not a Southern California program. They don't play in a Power 4 league, but it's a team that could absolutely win their league. They've gotten off to a good start with good wins. And you've got this unique situation where you'll play Troy, and then on the other side of it, a few days later, you're going to Las Vegas for this Players Era Festival. This is a big-time game, right? Coming up Tuesday night here, in terms of what this presents for this basketball team.
Man, this Troy team is really good, and they present a lot of problems. The one thing I'll give Scott Cross credit for, the head coach, I mean, he's 4 20-win seasons. He went to the tournament last year.
Yep. Everywhere
he's been, he's won. He was at UT Arlington before, and now he's at Troy. And he recruits players that fit the way he wants to play. I mean, they're a 5-out team, though. They shoot 30-plus threes a game. They're dangerous offensively, and they do enough different things defensively to try to kind of throw you off rhythm. And so it's a more than formidable opponent. And they're coming on the West Coast to play 4 games, which is interesting. I've been in those shoes to have to go and play all these games, and for them, as much as anything, is playing against us as a measure of where their season could potentially go. And so they come in here and they look at us and say, okay, if we can beat this team or compete against this team, it makes us valid, and so not that they need that anyways, but they're obviously really good. And so you look at their KenPom, they're a top 100 team. They're picked to win their conference. I mean, I can say a million things about them. They're really, really good, and they're really well coached.
And after this, we get to the NIL tournament in Las Vegas. How important is it to make sure that you guys are focused on Troy here and you don't look ahead? Because I mean, once you get to the NIL tournament, you got Michigan, Oregon, like that's when things are going to be, at the highest of competition level. So how are you guys making sure that okay, we're not looking past Troy here, because after Troy, we got some pretty enticing matchups for us.
Well, fortunately, we have a mature team.
Yeah.
We understand every game matters. We understand that if we don't beat Air Force, we don't go to the NCAA tournament. And so it's games like that make or break your season in a lot of ways sometimes. And every game is really important. And this team's mantra has been like, we have to stack days. Like every day is super important. We can't skip days. Even a week like this where we have a bunch of practices before we play. Like every practice has to be great. Every practice is an opportunity for us to get better, to improve, to build chemistry, especially as we're integrating Magoon back into the mix. And so this game is just like that. I mean, it's another opportunity for us to affirm who we are, build our identity, build our chemistry, and to compete at the highest level. And you get to play in Viejas. You don't take those opportunities for granted. You get to play at home before we go on the road for 3. Enjoy every night that you have in here and protect home court. That's got to be our mentality and our focus. Now, the coaches, we have me, JD, Dave, AG, Dutch. Like we have a text message all the time. Watching Oregon last night, watching Michigan 2 nights ago.
So was John.
We're watching all these games, and so we're aware of what's going on.
Yep.
We know what those problems are, but our biggest focus is to make sure that our team stays as focused as we can on the task at hand, which is every day you got to wake up, you got to go to class, you got to handle, take care of your business. You got to practice as well as you can, because the practice is the most important part of our day. We have to win those days every day, and that's the only chance. I tell the guys all the time, like, that's the way we can find out how good we can be. If we're just looking too far ahead at what's next, we'll lose sight of all these days, and we won't get where we all want to go.
100%. Ryan Battertelli, we're looking forward to Tuesday night, the Players Era Festival, to follow that as well. Again, the Aztecs and Troy, Tuesday night, Viejas Arena. Tickets at goaztecs.com. Ryan, great to see you, my friend.
Great to
see
you
you Tuesday night.
Appreciate you guys. Go Aztecs.
All right, Aztec men's basketball assistant Ryan Battertelli. We'll take a time out. More on the potential sale of the San Diego Padres on the other side. It's John and Jim. All right, back with you. Viejas Arena here until 6 p.m. Again, it's the Aztec for Life blood drive. We're reacting, though, also to the news that the Padres are exploring a sale of the franchise. A little bit like I want to take people behind the curtain, because when you're out on remote, and this is the issue in radio in general, a lot of times in radio, you're planning your show out like a day in advance. Now, we don't necessarily do that. We do it more here's off the cuff.
Let me tell you how we plan our show. Minutes in advance.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes. No, you are right.
On the fly.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. Like it'll be like 10 in the morning and I'll text Kevin Acey, like, can you do 2:30? But that's to be expected, I think, with an afternoon show. Like I wouldn't text Kevin if SDFC won the MLS Cup and the Padres have nothing going on.
Right.
That's when we talk to the SDFC guest and we have Darren Smith on the show or a player or whatever. But again, we're on remote, so of course we're arranging conversations with someone like a J.D. Wicker or San Diego State basketball with Ryan Battertelli. And then the way news breaks is then you also have like what's playing out in real time, like the situation with the San Diego Padres, which again makes like radio interesting because sometimes you got to do things in advance, but then other times news breaks. And I don't know.
Look, we could talk about it for 4 hours easily, but when you have a 4-hour radio show, at times you do need to break it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's just what it is. And plus, like for me and you, we could literally just look at each other and be like, this is what we're talking about. And then we can go for
we could go for 4 hours.
We go for 4 hours.
We could talk to you about Roki Sasaki's posting period for 4 hours last year.
We could talk about Roki Sasaki for 4 months.
We managed that. I think we had 89 shows where
I counted, dude. We had so many Roki Sasaki
89 shows centered around Roki Sasaki. And then, of course, he ends up with the Dodgers. And now we might be spending a lot of time this offseason on the impending sale of the San Diego Padres. I mean,
all of
the
time.
Thing is, it's like the lawsuit, though. What happens is it's going to be in the background, and then it's going to like pop up in a big way. It's not like we're going to sit here January 15th and be like, all right, we're waiting. Like, trust me, today's the day the Padres are going to be sold. Like, again, today is this like landmark day, but I don't know how the reporting is going to change in the weeks ahead. I mean, maybe we'll learn about an ownership group that has interest in securing the San Diego Padres, but I don't know if in January and February we're going to be like, all right, let's talk about the possibility of Elon Musk today. Let me tell you why Elon is the next owner of the San Diego Padres. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you're going to be able to do that.
What are you? Hold on a second here. Jeez. What are you more interested in the offseason now? What the Padres do on the field or this impending
on the
sale?
field? I mean, tell me, this is the don't show me the, what's the saying? Don't show me the labor pains, show me the baby.
Sure.
Like, I don't really care about the behind the scenes with the ownership change. I want to know who the ownership group is going to be.
Yeah,
like, I definitely want to know who's going to own the Padres moving forward. Do I really care about like what's going on behind the scenes with it? No, not necessarily, but I want to know who is the next owner of the San Diego Padres. But what's more important to me is if they like land that Japanese bat that's going to be posted.
Murakami?
Yeah, that to me is more important than like just waiting.
Are they going to re-sign Luis Ariz?
that to me, yeah, because I care about like in between white line stuff more, but I absolutely want to know who the next owner of the Padres is going to be.
Yeah, I cannot wait until the list comes out of potential buyers of this team.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. Yeah,
because then you can kind of maybe see a little bit of how the future of the franchise might be operating with whoever potentially could buy this team. If it's somebody that we have no idea, because the second these names come out of who are potential buyers, you already know Padres fans and Padres Twitter are going to research this guy or girl or woman, whatever, to know exactly everything about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. I want to know, and Padres fans especially want to know who this owner is. All we know about John Seidler is that he's a Seidler. No, and he used to be a massive
Dodgers fan.
Massive Dodger fan. That's it. And then he goes to Padres games. Like, that's it. We don't know anything else about him. Nothing.
Remember, the one moment that'll always stick with me if this is the end of his tenure is the Padres secured a playoff spot at home. I don't even remember who was against the last week of the regular season.
And the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, and the players were celebrating on field, and they put the T-shirts and the hats on, and he was by the dugout, and the players were walking into the clubhouse.
Knew who he was.
And everyone just walked right past him, and one person gave him like an awkward like fist pump.
Like,
or
who are
fist
you?
Pump. Like it was very awkward. That's like how I'm going to remember John Seidler's time as representing ownership of the Padres.
It's like, oh, you're the owner of the team.
Or remember the TV interview on Padres.tv that was awkward?
Oh yeah, how could I forget that?
Where nothing was really said, but I found it to be overly awkward. He has still not met with the media, by the way.
He has still not talked to anybody.
Not in a non-controlled setting.
Right. He has only talked to the TV booth, radio booth, and he talked to Kevin Acee.
He was on the radio, seriously? Because I didn't know that.
He was.
He was on the radio with the radio team.
They did,
okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And then he talked to Kevin Acee in a controlled setting in spring training of last year, where everything was given to him.
You just can't. You got to do better. Like, you got a fan base with 3.5 million fans. You got a team that's desiring to win a World Series, and then you just kind of hide because you don't want the job. And I get it. If you don't want it, he didn't ask for it. It's understandable. But now that you're in the job, you got to do it. You know what I mean? So guess what? Did Anthony Davis want to get traded to the Mavericks? This might be a bad example because he hasn't done anything. But once you're traded, you got to make the most of it. Once you're on the move, it's the business of sports. You have to make the most of it.
Even Eric Casenda had a media scrum.
I thought he did fine, actually. I thought he did well in that moment, truthfully.
So
the sweater was interesting.
But I thought it was nice. It was a nice sweater.
And I thought he was fine. I had no issues with what he said that day.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It was a very
he was professional,
premeditated stuff. And at the time, everyone was still going through the loss of Peter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very fresh. It wasn't
just a few months.
It was exactly. And so everyone's kind of picking everything up and picking up the pieces and trying to just get through the season, right, going forward. But Eric Casenda did it, because he was Peter's friend. He was doing a favor for him. This whole thing with naming John the control person, just less than a year after he's named the control person, they're already looking to sell the franchise. That is.
Well, this is kind of what Sheila alleged, by the way.
She
alleged kind of what is playing out in real time, right?
She was spot on, other than the fact that she said, I got to pull this up here. So in the lawsuit that was released earlier this year, Scheel stated Matt's efforts, Matt Seidler, to promote his brother John as control person and block Scheel may well be part of his efforts to sell or perhaps relocate the team over Scheel's strident objections. So one of those two things aren't going to happen, which is relocating the franchise. But the other one, which is a still massive one, is selling the team. So Scheel was right. Scheel was right. She thought that if the team was under the control of the Seidler Bros, they would eventually end up selling the franchise. And 9 months later, they're selling the franchise.
Is the plot twist? It's not that much of a plot twist, but hear me out. And Caleb Davis, by the way, GM with San Diego State Football. They got an announcement coming up in 5 minutes. He's going to join us. That's officially out in 5 minutes. You got an announcement coming up.
We'll tell you. We'll tell you your announcement.
We'll tell you your announcement
at 4 o'clock. Don't worry.
But is the plot twist that Scheel Seidler one day does represent ownership, even if she's not the one that's fully buying? Even if she's not, the next owner, so to speak, could she still represent the ownership group at some moving forward? That's possible, right? Couldn't she be part of an ownership group?
Yeah, I think one of the best moves this new potential owner could do, if they care, is bring along Scheel.
That's what I'm saying.
And be a part of this.
Yes, exactly.
That right there will endear this new owner to all San Diego Padres fans if they bring back Scheel. Because Scheel, let's face it, she's kind of pretty much not banned from Petco because she can still go there, obviously, and she can sit in but she's not fully there. It's not a good situation there. They just announced, by the way, which is also kind of crazy how this all went down. What was it, last week? Or I think it was last week. They just announced Peter Seidler way.
Yeah, but they kept it very quiet when you think about it.
Well, you know who wasn't there?
Scheel.
Scheel wasn't there.
Yeah. You talk about a beloved figure. If you include Scheel Seidler in the next ownership group, you have that goodwill.
Yes,
the widow of Peter Seidler. I mean, shoot. I would go as far as what if she were a future chairperson? I know that's not what the Seidler Bros wanted.
If she could,
and they said she wasn't qualified.
If she could go out and find
the group,
investment groups to buy off the shares of the other bros, and
That's the plot twist I'm looking for.
Who knows? We don't know, but anything's possible, I guess.
Team Shield.
Yeah.
All right. On the other side, Caleb Davis, San Diego State football, with an exciting announcement coming up at this hour. We'll explain on the other side the latest on this lawsuit from Shield Seidler that was from earlier in the year. And, of course, the fact that the Padres are now officially exploring a sale of the franchise as well. This is John and Jim. Stay with us.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Of course, the news of the day. Kevin Acey reported it this morning. John Seidler sent out a letter to the fan base. The Seidler family is exploring a sale of the Padres. More of that coming up today in the show. Tonight, 6 p.m., the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis. 6 p.m. as they get you ready for Saturday night's game, San Diego State against Boise State. Listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Have an easy holiday only at Staples. Save on custom cards and custom wrapping paper. Great gifts plus shipping, supplies, and services. Get your packages there safely. Don't miss out on the latest laptops, up to 45% off. Staples. That was easy.
All right, hour 3 of John and Jim. And again, we're at this blood drive until 6 p.m. If you want to donate, walk-ins welcome, or go online. GoAztecs.com/blood drive. It is a busy time with San Diego State and its athletics. Again, this huge game coming up Saturday night. San Diego State and Boise State. And it is our pleasure to be joined right now by San Diego State's football general manager, Caleb Davis, who's actually on Fletch Zone earlier, back with us right now.
The double dip.
I like it on John and Jim. Now, we have a little bit of a breaking news story involving San Diego State football. This is now officially official. The Finish the Climb campaign has just been announced at this hour. There is an anonymous San Diego State donor that has pledged a $1 million challenge gift, which means for every dollar raised, that's going to be matched up to $1 million. So San Diego State football looking to raise $1 million, which then means with the anonymous gift, you have $2 million in support of San Diego State football through the Recruitment and Retention Fund. Tell us a little bit about this Finish the Climb campaign, which is now underway. Thank you for joining us here today.
Absolutely. First off, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Guys. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for letting me take the time here. But first off, the messaging behind everything in this season with Coach Lewis has been the climb, all the way from the beginning. Every single step helps us achieve our ultimate goal of winning championships here. And, we even had a former climber that climbed Mount Rushmore come and speak to the team. And there was a lot of messaging there where every single step, it takes 20,000 steps. It takes every single step to get to the top, to get to the climax. And that's essentially what this campaign is rallying around is the climb. It takes every single person in this city, in this community, every alumni, every former player. It takes all of us to rally together, take steps towards this climb. And we're more than appreciative of this anonymous donor that, is matching up to $1 million. So basically all that means is every single gift that you give to this program, to this university, is now doubled in impact of what it would have meant yesterday. And that starts with, it's not just, helping us fund this football team, which is yes, absolutely. But the goal behind it is how can we continue to impact these kids' lives and continue to allow these kids to chase their dreams on and off the field every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely love that. So getting to Saturday night, pretty big game for you guys. This could determine potentially who hosts the Mountain West Conference Championship game. So coming off of the Hawaii loss, for this football team, after the Washington State loss, came back, performed really well against Cal, the shutout victory at home. How do you approach, and how does the team approach the week after a loss? Do you feel like that helps the team be focused more, or how is it going into this game coming off of such a disappointment against Hawaii?
I would say first off, whether it's a win or loss, every team handles it differently. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we've got a resilient group of kids that are super competitive. If you would ask them the moment the clock hit 0, they wish they would have flown back and played another game.
Right.
So we've got a great group of kids where they are competitive, they're rallied around, but it all starts with just shutting out all the noise. And unfortunately, we didn't do a good enough job of that last week. And I think some of the noise, whether it might be CFP possibilities or this or that, or looking ahead to the big game next week, and some of the noise got to us. And now it's the same way. Like, we got to shut out the noise again. I know everyone points to the Washington State game and how we how we were able to rally and come together to beat Cal after our bye week, but we got to shut that out too. Like we can't pat ourselves on the back before we play this game. We've got one of the biggest games of the season, one of the biggest games in Snapdragon history coming up this Saturday, to where we win this, we're going to cement ourselves as the sole possession of first place in the conference and the front runners to potentially host a conference championship game. And it all starts with how we attack the week, how we attack Monday through Friday, and then get to Saturday. So I'm excited.
San Diego State football's general manager, Caleb Davis, with us right now on John and Jim. It's funny you mention the noise, because in the media, our job is to kind of create it. We
create
talk
the noise.
We talk about weather. We talk about championships. We talk about college football playoffs. And then it's kind of your job and Sean's job and the staff's job to allow the players to hone in on the task at hand. Speaking of Saturday night, obviously there's the possibility of weather, such as life. Even in San Diego, weather does exist. But this is a massive game. We touched on this with J.D. Wicker, but there's the ticket offer as well. So if people don't have tickets, so it may rain, bring a poncho, 2 tickets for $40. Again, the winner of this game does have the inside track to a Mountain West Championship game. What do you want fans to know about the importance of showing up and the opportunity in front of San Diego State this weekend?
I would say, first off, go take advantage of that ticket deal while it lasts, because I know they expanded the ticket section. They heard the noise, and we wanted to build the best college football game day environment in the entire country this Saturday. So pack the stands. I don't know how much longer it's going to last for. I hope it keeps on expanding and we keep on selling out. I know there's been a ton of success with that so far, but keep on rallying around the deal. We've made some tickets affordable, so we need the city to come out and support, and we're excited for it, because again, I look at the potential rain, the potential different things, like that's an opportunity. Now we can impact the game again twice as much as before, because the same way we played Cal and had back-to-back pre-snap penalties, because the crowd was in there. The crowd rallies around. Our guys hear it and they feel it and they energize from it. So we're able to we've got a rare opportunity to build the best environment in college football this Saturday, and we need everyone's support.
Do you think that the rain that you guys faced in Hawaii potentially could help you and benefit you maybe to be more prepared for it this upcoming Saturday?
As much as I'd like to say, let's just wipe the slate clean, forget about anything that's happened before or after, there's definitely got to be some appeal to that, because it was the first rain game we played. Again, right, wrong, or indifferent. Last week it happened. This week it's completely brand new. But yes, I'm sure there's a little bit of turnover that'll help there.
You guys specifically, the staff, Sean Lewis, yourself, have really embraced the community's tie to our local military, whether it's veterans, active service members, those that have made the ultimate sacrifice. You're wearing a camo San Diego State hat right now.
Pretty sweet.
You're going to have thousands of veterans inside Snapdragon Stadium on Saturday evening as well. Can you kind of explain that process that played out?
Yeah, so we've got, again, this season's been so special because it's brought in so much support from even people that just come out of the woodwork and say, hey, how can I give back? So we've had a couple, more than a couple, very, very generous supporters say, hey, I want to make sure we can give back to the city, to the community, to the veterans, and rally around Veterans Day. So we were able to get some supporters raise up to 2,500 free tickets for veterans. So any veterans go to VetTix. I know that's being pushed around, and again, it's all a rallying cry to how can we connect the city the best way possible. And it's Veterans Day on Tuesday, and we got the biggest game of Snapdragon history coming up. I'm fired up to see what this community can rally around.
So, we're all focused on the game on Saturday 100%. The team is 100% focused on the game on Saturday. For you, your job is also not just to be focused on the game on Saturday, but like to be focused on the future of this program. For you, how have you adapted to doing that this year to focus on the here and now, but also you have to, focus on the future as well?
Absolutely. A lot of my job is taken away from what used to be on Coach Lewis's plate in season that takes away from helping him win football games. So whether that's the forward-thinking vision, we still connect about everything, but he's got to focus on game plan. He's got to focus on winning, and I get to kind of look at the 3-year vision, the outlook, and one, how can we retain our best players, and how can we recruit better players and continue to raise the ceiling of this program every single day and every single year.
One of the ways to do it is with this Finish the Climb campaign officially underway at this hour, following the anonymous donation of a $1 million challenge gift. your gift is essentially doubled. So you can make that donation right now. GoAztecs.com. San Diego State football looking to raise $2 million in support of the Aztec football program's recruitment and retention fund. Again, following the $1 million donation from an anonymous donor, all donations will be doubled essentially or matched up to $1 million. Caleb, great to see you, my friend. We're looking forward to Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium. San Diego State, Boise State, Saturday night at 7:30. Tickets at GoAztecs.com. Thanks, Caleb.
Absolutely. Thank you guys, and let's win championships together. We need everyone.
There we go.
Need
Caleb
everyone.
Davis,
Thanks, man.
San Diego
Appreciate it.
State's general manager. We'll take a time out. More on the Padres news from today. Plus, Chris Hodge, Taking Vegas, has free picks for our listeners. Coming up at 4:30, this is John and Jim. All right, back with you, Viejas Arena here on campus, San Diego State. As we typically have, Chris Hodge taking Vegas. He's going to join us coming up at 4:30. He'll have free picks for our listeners. We've got Thursday Night Football, Jets Patriots coming up tonight, so we'll have that free text pick for you. We'll have some college and NFL plays for you as well coming up at 4:30. Farrell Compton, rising sophomore basketball player for San Diego State that plays at Viejas, will join us later this hour as well. And if you missed Kevin Acey, you're going to hear a conversation about this impending sale of the Padres. You'll hear that at 5 p.m. It was Kevin that broke the story. We continue to just kind of take it all in. It was the last thing I expected today, Jim, when I woke up, that there would be an article from Kevin Acey initially that the Padres are, in fact, open for business when it comes to potentially finding a next ownership group for the franchise. I wasn't necessarily expecting that today at the GM meetings.
No, I have Kevin's notifications turned on. I think I turned them on for the trade deadline along with Dennis, and I just never turned them off.
Yeah.
So, like, they're just, like, on. And I might turn them off, but, like, I just keep them on just in case, right? So I get the notification, and it pops up on my phone.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, my first reaction, it wasn't of, like, complete shock.
Right.
Of, like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just the time. It's always a timing thing for me.
It
like, you expected it today?
Yeah. I kind of was like, huh, they're actually doing it.
Right.
You know, because we all knew, or not we all, but me and you had a pretty good feeling this was eventually going to happen. I mean, we talked about it for 2 months leading up to the season and got to a point of just like, okay, they got to sell the franchise. They're going to sell at some point. And then for it to just happen when it did happen, the news being announced, the only shock part of it was, wow, I thought it was going to happen a little later. It happened sooner than I expected.
Yeah, I guess there's never you never know when it comes to something like this. But if I go back to last offseason, when we talked to all those guests about Shiel Seidler's lawsuit, my overwhelming thought process at that time is that the Padres are likely to be sold at some point, and this lawsuit might play a large role in them eventually being sold.
Yeah.
And it hasn't even been a year since that lawsuit from Shiel Seidler was filed. And we talked earlier about an interview we did with the reporter that broke that story back in January, Eben Novi-Williams of Sportico, who broke that story. He said the most likely outcome that day was an eventual sale of the San Diego Padres. So again, in the short term, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world that the San Diego Padres are about to be sold. Like, I think that throws a lot of things up in the air. Remember what Jurickson Profar said during free agency? Like, there's a lot going on with the Padres. So I don't think it's good for, like, the certainty of the franchise right now, but I do hope that long-term they get it right. Like, it is the right ownership group. It's just a hope. I don't know if they will or not, because this franchise deserves, this fan base deserves the right ownership group that can point them towards the first championship in the history of the franchise. So I hope they get it right, but it's hard to know at this point.
Make no mistake, this is the right move. I feel that this is the right move. I just understand, and I'm along with the fans as well feeling this way. Like, I understand how today is like a what the F from the fan base because of everything that was said prior,
right,
leading up to this. I mean, you had Eric Grupner yapping spring training about how, John views this as an asset to be with the team long term, and like they view this as a long-term deal, and it's just like, no, no. I mean, what changed over the last 9 months?
What has changed since what Eric Grupner said?
Yeah,
potentially a lot. I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
Again, that's a good.
We don't
good answer.
know.
Nope.
Eric Grupner isn't John Seidler.
No, but Eric Grupner also has equity in the team.
Yeah, right. A small share of the team. You'd think he'd be privy to those conversations.
And then from that, probably saying that to kind of put out any type of fire, because that was right at the Shiel, around the Shiel lawsuit.
Yeah, it was like a month later.
And the main thing in there that Shiel said, and I read it earlier in the show, is that she's afraid that Matt and the Seidler brothers would sell or perhaps even relocate the franchise.
She did say that, yeah.
And so the questions asked to Eric Grupner were in response to that lawsuit. And then you say what you say, and then 9 months later, the team is up for sale. And oh, by the way, this thing has probably been in the works for a little bit now. That's where the frustration from the fan base comes. I think in the long term, this potentially could be a great thing. It also potentially could be a disaster. But I do think getting this franchise out of the ownership of the Seidler Bros, it needed to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like we sometimes say during the season, we're like, it's not going to get worse than this. But then
Always
if
can get
you've
worse.
watched baseball, like you can't say that with the Rockies. The Rockies might have started 2-12, but it got worse
Yeah.
than 2-12. It's like, well, you might say, well, I don't like the direction that they were heading in under the Seidler Bros, so it's going to be better than that. But you can't guarantee that because there's some awful ownership groups.
100%.
You don't have to look any further than like the ownership group at the Chargers, right? Or like you don't have to look very far to find some ridiculous situations, the way the Clippers situation played out, a decade ago, or what's played out obviously with the Chargers. So like you're always hopeful that you end up with the next Peter Seidler. But then again, how many Peter Seidler ownership groups have there been in the history of the city of San Diego in professional sports? So like, do you have to get lucky? Like, I don't know if we can count on them finding the perfect group to lead them to the promised land, or are they going to have to overcome their ownership group to win?
There's so many questions. Like, I want to know, like, what does Manny Machado think about this?
I'll tell you what he thinks. I'll tell you what they think. They don't think kindly on it.
You know
They
what I mean?
don't, because it impacts their ability to win. Everyone understands that. They can say whatever they want. I'm telling you right now, it impacts their ability to win.
When a team is going through a sale, it's not a pretty process.
Yeah, exactly.
And show me a team that has gone through a sale that the following year during that sale process won a World Series. I'll wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, there was an Orioles sale when they weren't good and weren't spending, and now they are spending on the other side of it. There was the whole drama with the Dodgers going back 15 years that was not good with the McCourts.
Yep.
And that divorce, right?
Yeah.
And the situation that's playing out here, again, do you think the Padres today are closer to a World Series, or were they closer with Peter Seidler? I mean, it's easy for me. I don't think you can even argue it. Now, they didn't win, but I think you're closer with Peter Seidler than you are today.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I keep going back to 2024. Like, the farther we get away from 2024 without them winning a World Series, and now they're on the, looking to sell the franchise, it makes it even more frustrating if you're a Padres fan how that ended with being up 2-1, going 24 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. That was the team.
Yeah.
That 2024 club, that was the team. And they blew it, and they choked, and their superstars choked. And we'll see if they can overcome that as a franchise and a bunch of other things to hopefully win a World Series here in the immediate future. But if they do not, I will always look back, and I think Padres fans will always look back at 2024 as that was the missed opportunity for them to win a World Series.
Would we be sitting here discussing the same story if 2024 worked out differently on field?
Potentially.
Potentially. I would guess. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like
once Peter Seidler passed away, the wheels were in motion for this day to eventually happen.
But if they even won a World Series, or would that have been so regardless of their on-field success or lack thereof, we would have been here today, even if they won a World Series a year ago?
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know. You could make that argument. Yeah. I mean, what would really change financially?
Nothing. I mean, you would get a little more money as far
exactly.
as revenue goes, but nothing to...
Not like billions of dollars.
Nothing to pay off all these loans that you need to pay off. Nothing to pay off all these contracts that are long-term and frankly awful. Like, it would help the fan base be like, today, if they won a World Series,
at least we won the World Series.
Exactly. Just go back and watch World Series highlight videos.
Yeah, I can deal with it because we won a World Series.
100%.
But having not won a World Series, it makes it even kind of more bitter that you just don't know what's on the other side of this. Not that on this side has been particularly great under the Seidler brothers. All right, on the other side, we'll switch gears. We got free picks for you, NFL and college, with Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas. He will join us coming up. Farrah Compton, Aztec Rising sophomore forward, will join us here courtside of Viejas Arena as well. We're at the Aztec for Life blood drive. It's going on until 6 p.m. They have walk-ins, so walk-ins are welcome, or you can make an appointment right now at goaztecs.com/blood drive. And remember, if you miss Kevin Acey, you'll hear our conversation coming up at 5 p.m. This is John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start in baseball. Breaking news, Shohei Ohtani is named the National League MVP, his 4th MVP award in his career. All 4 of them have been unanimous MVPs. The American League MVP will be announced here shortly. Other news today, the big news of the day, the Seidler family is exploring a sale of the Padres. We'll talk about that coming up later in the show. And tonight, 6 p.m., the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 6 p.m. Have an easy holiday only at Staples. Save on custom cards and custom wrapping paper, great gifts, plus shipping supplies and services to get your packages there safely. Don't miss out on the latest laptops, up to 45% off. Staples, that was easy.
All right, back with you here from Viejas Arena. Always our pleasure to be joined by Chris Hodge, TakingVegas.com. He's been terrific with his free plays all season long for our listeners here on San Diego Sports 760. 17-9 this year on the show and with the text picks as well. So, Chris, as always, it's our pleasure. We're getting ready for another weekend of NFL and college action. You've got your free text pick tonight. Jets, Patriots, Thursday Night Football. How can our listeners get that game? And thanks for hopping on as always.
Yeah, so I annoyed a lot of people in New York today. There's a very big station. You guys could look it up, WFAN, probably one of the biggest stations in the country.
Heard of that?
Yeah. You know, when I go on and I say the Jets are gracing us with their miserable presence tonight, and they have a better shot at winning the game, then they're not going to win the game. They have no shot to win the game, and I just go on against the Jets, right? So the Jets ain't winning tonight. But the matter, the Jets aren't winning the game tonight. That said, 12.5. 43.5. It's about, are they going to cover the point spread? So we're going to give this game out absolutely free. Text the word win to the number 545454. That's text the word win to the number 545454. And we'll hook you up with this game. And I hope to not annoy the listeners in San Diego with this call that I'm doing like I annoyed the people in New York.
All right. We like that.
Love it.
I'll do the best I can.
I like it.
It's okay. I annoy people in San Diego all the time. It's fine.
It's true.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah. All right. Let's get to Saturday here. Oklahoma, Alabama. What you got in that one, man?
I've been looking at this game all week long, and I just don't see how it's going to go any differently than the Oklahoma-Texas game went. Because if you look at the Texas defense and you look at the Alabama defense, they're very, very similar. Alabama probably has a better pass defense. Texas has a better rush defense. But overall, the numbers in total yards are very close to one another. Total points per game, very close to one another. And when Oklahoma had played Texas, obviously that's a neutral site game at the Cotton Bowl. Now they're going to Tuscaloosa, which is a very tough place to play. And they're getting 5.5. And when they played Texas, they lost that game 23-6. Now, I know they had the injury to Mateer, and he was just coming back and off the hand surgery. But Oklahoma has done nothing offensively. The game against Tennessee, just throw out the window because Tennessee can't play defense. They've done really nothing offensively most of the season. In fact, their first 7 games all stayed under the posted total, and the last 2 have just gone over. I just don't see how they're going to move the ball against Alabama. And while Oklahoma is a good defensive team in their own right, Alabama is a more talented team than Texas. So if you lost to Texas by 17 in a neutral site, I just don't see how you're going to really do any better against Alabama on the road. So I'm going to lay the 5.5. I think Alabama better on both sides of the ball. Tough place to play. And look, I'm just not sold on Oklahoma. I'm just not. I don't think they're a very good football team. They're ranked number 11, but from what I've watched them do this year, I don't think they're very good. And I think Alabama at least beats them by 14.
I like that logic. I like that play. So again, Alabama, Oklahoma, lay the points. And again, if you want tonight, we're talking about this Jets-Patriots game. If you want it absolutely free, just text the word win. That's WIN to 545454. That's win, WIN to 545454. Let's go back to the NFL. Chiefs Broncos, massive, right? I mean, you look at where these two teams are right now in the AFC West. That's coming up this weekend on Sunday. What are your feelings on this one coming up?
I mean, this is crazy because Kansas City they're tied with Denver in terms of the odds to win the AFC West.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Denver's sitting at 8-2, Kansas City's sitting at 5-4. They're both plus 135 to win that division. Kansas City is still the favorite to win the Super Bowl, which kind of crazy to me, to be honest with you. And not saying they can't win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying at this point of the season, to have them be the favorite to win it is just odd to me. And they're going into Denver, and they're a pretty big favorite. They're 3.5 against a first place football team. That's a pretty decent sized favorite. I don't know if you guys have spoken about this. Andy Reid off a bye is the best of all time. He's 22-4 off a bye week. And that is the best among coaches that have at least 10 situations where they've coached after a bye. So he's the best of all time in that situation. I believe it's the season on the line for Kansas City. Both teams are obviously very familiar with one another. Here's what makes this game so tricky. If you've watched Denver play this year, this team literally could be 3-7. I mean, they had a miracle win against the Giants. They came from behind against the Eagles. They had another win against Houston where Stroud got hurt. I mean, they have won games that most teams would find ways to lose. So to their credit, they have found ways to win these football games. So it's hard to go against a team that, for whatever the reason, they just find ways to win. But I can't get by two things. I can't get by the bye record for Andy Reid and the utter desperation that Kansas City is going to show in this game. Because if Kansas City doesn't win this game, they're in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to lay the 3.5. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I would, if you're looking to bet, like let's say you have $500, I would put $300 on the Alabama free pick, and I would put $200 on this Chiefs free pick. I would stagger it that way with Alabama being a bigger play. I think the Chiefs get it done. I think it's going to be close. But I'm just going to go with Mahomes in a desperate situation with a coach that never loses after a bye.
Chris, what can you tell us about how NIL is impacting football games this season in college, specifically in the fourth quarter?
I mean, it's a great question. There's always something that goes on, every year that you have to adjust to. A couple years ago, the transfer portal got brought into our lives. There's different rules now with JUCO. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but if you go to junior college, you would lose those years of eligibility. Well, this year they began saying you won't lose those 2 years of eligibility. So just think of like 2 or 3 years from now, you're going to get players that were in JUCO that are 20 years old now going into college football with 4 years of eligibility. So there's always things that are going on that you have to adjust to every year. This stuff with the NIL this year is absolutely crazy because basically these schools have a $20 million cap with their football players. And what we're watching is, do you remember like the old days? If your starting wide receiver came out, the next guy coming in was pretty good. He wasn't as good as the starter, obviously, but he was pretty good. What's happening now is when they take their starters out, when they're taking guys that are making $2.5 million or $2 million out, and they put the next guy in that's really not making anything, he's terrible. And lots of teams are blowing big leads. This just happened with North Carolina on Saturday, and it's been happening all year long. So what we've begun to instruct our clients to do is to buy out. So if you get up over a touchdown over the number and they're offering you 50 or 60% on a buyout, buy out. Now, I know it's a little long-winded, but just hang with me. You guys can't do that in California because gambling is not legal. You guys have to bet offshore. So it's a little different situation, and that's something we have to deal with in terms of where our clients are in the country to instruct them to make the best amount of bets possible, which will make them the most amount of money possible. It gets tricky. We do the best we can, but this has been crazy with the NIL, with the subs coming in just being nowhere near as good as the players that they're replacing.
That's kind of fascinating insight. Again, Chris Hodge with us right now, takingvegas.com. If you want tonight, Thursday Night Football, absolutely free. We're talking Jets Patriots. You can text the word WIN, W-I-N, to 545454. So let's switch gears to college hoops because you had tons of success with hoops a year ago. Like, how do you prepare for a college hoop season? Hundreds of games going on, 300-plus Division I teams now underway with their season. What goes into handicapping for your clients in college basketball?
I mean, yeah, I'd be lying if I told you we look at every single game every single night. You have lower conferences you're not going to pay attention to because those conferences are impossible to win. And what's going on in the country right now if you make a big bet on a lower rated conference and it just happens to go the exact way that you thought it was going to go, the sports books kind of flag you. So we have that going on. But in terms of the big conferences, you know, we're watching every game. We're scouring over all the information possible. We put so many man hours per week into studying college basketball. And a lot of people out there, they have a general idea of what goes on in the NFL. They have a general idea of what goes on in their favorite conference in college football. But college basketball, there's just too many teams, there's too many players, and they just don't know. And they're working 40 to 50 hours a week, and then they try to sit down on Saturday or Sunday morning and break down a college basketball board. They have no shot, zero chance. I'm not saying it to be arrogant. The only reason why I have a chance is because of the team I have behind me and the research we put in. So it takes a lot of work, and that's why we have the success we do when it comes to college basketball. And I always thought, of all the sports, I always say this, I think it's the easiest sport to win is college basketball. We've had the most success in college basketball, and we've made our clients the most money when it comes to college basketball.
Yeah, I remember all that success you had just a year ago for our listeners right here on San Diego Sports 760. And that's continued this year. Again, Chris is 17-9 with his free plays and the text picks as well right here for our listeners on John and Jim. If you want another one tonight, again, 17-9, he's winning at about a 67% clip. Text the word WIN, W-I-N, to 545454. That's Jets Patriots tonight. 545454. Just text the word WIN to 545454. Chris, appreciate you, my friend. We'll do it again next Thursday night.
Hey, real quick before you let me go, I know Shohei just won the NL MVP.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You think my boy Judge wins the AL, or you think it's going to be Cal Raleigh there?
I think it's going to be Aaron Judge. He wins it by. I mean, it's going to be a very close vote. I think.
I say Raleigh. Because Judge has won it before, and because he's reaching thresholds that have never been reached for catchers, I say they just give it to Raleigh. More sympathy.
All right. This is not a hometown bias. I know you guys have to let me go. I think it's going to be Aaron Judge. I think when they look at the totality of the numbers, not to take anything away from Raleigh, fantastic season. But I think when you look at the total numbers, I think they got to give it to Judge. But hey, Ohtani was just unanimous. I don't think Judge is going to be unanimous, but I do think it's going to be close and Judge wins it.
How does Ohtani win that? He only hit 55 homers.
And he had a 2.870 ERA.
Come on, I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
He's been good, man. He's been good.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Unfortunately,
I would have given it to Xander Bogaerts, truthfully. All right, thank you, Chris. We appreciate you.
You guys have a nice night.
I mean, how many MVPs is Shohei Ohtani going to win?
Yeah, he can win them all.
How many has he won? 4?
He's won 4. 4 unanimous.
Well, he's going to win 8.
He's won 4 unanimous MVPs.
8.5 over or under.
Over. Barry Bonds and Shohei Ohtani are the only baseball players to win 4 or more MVPs in their careers.
Yeah, and there's a difference in there as well.
Yeah,
for them, like Ohtani.
Hey,
pitches.
Guess how many Padres accumulated votes for MVPs this year? For the MVP this year.
Share that on the other side. Plus, we're expected to be joined by Farrah Compton, San Diego State forward, hear from Viejas Arena. Then you're going to hear from Kevin Acee coming up at 5 p.m. It's Sean and Jim. All right, Kevin AC, if you missed our conversation, you'll hear that coming up at 5 p.m. John, look at this. Farrah Compton may swing by San Diego State. Outstanding rising sophomore. He's had like 10 dunks in 2 games so far, by the way. Jim is, well, we're both doing it truthfully. We're both drinking juice boxes and eating like children's
I don't think we're supposed
snacks.
to, but
Well, here's the thing. We're doing a 4-hour live broadcast. It is true that we're at a Aztec for Life blood drive. And yes, the snacks are more important for those actually giving blood. But I feel like we're playing a role because we're promoting this event.
There's no shame in
here.
drinking juice boxes, guys.
Yeah, we're supporting. And there's enough snacks for everyone.
100% apple juice.
This was so, I told you off air, I'm like,
So
this is
good.
so good. And they got trail mix. I love trail mix. They have the Welch's snacks. We love
and
Welch's
cookies.
snacks. Cookies. It's Jim's dream.
I live off snacks, so
You really do, dude.
I really do.
So we'll see if Farrow swings by. We talked to Ryan Battertelli earlier. We're talking about this Padres impending sale of the franchise. If you missed Kevin Acey, I thought it was fascinating. You'll hear a conversation, Brent. We'll play that coming up at 5 p.m. in about 15 minutes. Kevin Acey, our Padres insider, still just kind of reacting to it. I don't think I'm at the point, we said this earlier, I'm not at the point yet where I'm going to tell you who I think is the next owner of the team, but we're reacting to it. We're also reacting to the news of the most valuable players being unveiled right now. Shohei Ohtani has won it in the National League. That is not a surprise. He's unanimous, as Jim told you, for a 4th time. And now we wait on the American League, and that is intriguing. Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh.
Yeah. So I don't know when. I'm probably just going through the whole
song and dance,
milking this thing as for as much as possible. I think it's going to be Judge. I do.
Okay.
I want it to be Cal Raleigh
Right.
because that would be an amazing story. I mean, dude, 63 home runs this year is incredible.
Is that what it was?
Oh, wait, was it 63?
No, I don't think that's right.
Was it 61? 62?
You're including his postseason, I think.
I might be doing that. Was it 60?
It was a big
It was
number.
si-
The
it
most
was-
ever by switch hitter, most ever by catcher was 60.
60.
It's
okay.
an amazing year.
Pretty good.
What did Judge do?
Judge did pretty well.
His OPS is way higher. Aaron Judge's.
And his batting average.
I know.
All of
I
that
know.
is
I know.
better than Cal Raleigh.
But Cal Raleigh didn't win it previously.
So I know.
I know. I'm saying, is he going to get the sympathy of most ever for a catcher, most ever for a switch hitter? Doing it in Seattle?
I mean, right now it's probably looking like it's going to be Aaron Judge, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be announced here in a little bit. And so, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a great breakdown.
Well, I'm looking over at Farrell Compton right now.
Is he here?
He's right there. He's right.
Where is he? He's
walking
coming
us off.
by. He's coming by. Farrah Compton. I love that. I love that.
He's like, what am I doing?
Well, what he's doing is he's hanging out with us for the. It must be interesting being inside Viejas Arena for a blood drive. You know, like when you're a basketball player, because like it's used for like concerts and it's used
You're
for
like, this is
all
weird.
these things.
Yeah.
Farrah Compton's going to join us. What's up, Farrah? How are you, man? Good to see you.
Put the
Come on.
headset
Yeah,
on. There we
we're
go.
on. We're going to have you on. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Inside Viejas Arena, we're with the Aztecs sophomore forward, Farrah Compton. The Aztecs 2-0 on the season, getting ready for a Tuesday night date next week with Troy here at Viejas Arena. But isn't it weird, Farrah? We were just saying, like, being inside Viejas Arena without the basketball floor, you're so used to the basketball floor. Is this weird for you, being at the blood drive? We're the basketball hoops. And thanks for swinging by.
Yeah, that's right. It is a little different out here with no hoop, but no, I think this is how it was on my visit though. 2 years
Is that
ago.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Okay.
Is that right? All right. Let me ask you about the start of your year. Like, what's it been like so far? Again, you without Reese Dixon Waters for a game, but then he returned. You've still been without Magoon Guath. What's it been like for you these first 2 games, getting back out there and being as involved as you've been?
Just trying to like adjust. Obviously it's not our full team, so everybody doesn't know what we have, like in store. So. Just trying to play my part and do my role, and I think I'm doing a great job of that so far.
With that being said, you don't have the full team ready to go. How impressive is it for you guys, and how do you feel after these 2 first wins, after these 2 blowouts, knowing like, okay, we can get to another level here once we get the Magoon back and everybody back in the fold?
Of course. No, that's right. I feel like the 2 wins were expected, though. We just wanted to see what we could do. With the team and the guys that we had out there. We did a great job, executing the game plan, and a coach had out there for us. But I can't wait to get the full team back, though.
Yeah.
Goon, that's a scary sight.
Tell us what he's been looking like. You've been around him all offseason. I know he wasn't
He's
playing
shaking his
5
head
on
right
5,
now.
but he's back on the floor with you right now playing 5 on 5. What's he looking like a year after last year when he burst onto the scene?
Yeah, it's just like a presence on the court that you just feel when he's out there that you don't feel with, I don't know, most guys, him being a 7 foot. I know he just covers a lot of the floor. So it's really hard to, score or even guard him too, because he can do so much.
For you, entering your second year at San Diego State, how have you improved on your game? And how do you feel like those improvements have been going for you for the first 2 games of the season?
Now, of course, just defensive wise, being in the right spot. I've got a few blocks so far, so I've been heavy on that, and my free throws have been looking a little bit better too. So just doing the little things, and then my field goal percentage has been pretty good as well.
Farrah Compton with us right now, Aztec sophomore forward. I want to say in 2 games, correct me if I'm wrong, how many dunks have you had? So you've had at least a handful of dunks in 2 games, right? do you have do you have a favorite dunk to this point? It's only been 2 games, but you have at least a handful.
No favorite ones. I'm trying to just one up myself every game.
One up yourself with the dunks.
Yeah.
Is that like one of your biggest goals this year, is to make sure that you assert your dominance more and making sure that, look, when I'm in the paint, like I'm going to get, as many field goal opportunities and dunks as possible?
Yeah, no, I just want to capitalize on any opportunity I get, of course, in the paint, because just such a fearless scorer down there, and I really don't think anybody can stop me.
I know Mark Seidler wrote about this. Like, you're listed as, what are you? You're 6'7". You're at least 6'7".
Yeah.
But that does not tell the story of Farrah Compton as a player, because the amount of space you take up, and you've got this deceptive wingspan where you get to balls, it's hard to imagine that you're able to get to, whether it's offensively or defensively. How much of a benefit is that? You got a wingspan that's pretty unique for your size, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about it too much, but it's like 7'3" for my wingspan. So
hold your arms out.
That covers up. I think this covers up mostly everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even on the blocks too. Yeah, it comes in big time.
Yeah.
A wingspan in basketball, it's
a big
pretty
part
good.
of it.
Exactly.
Hopefully, that's gonna take me pretty far.
We talked to assistant coach Ryan Battertelli earlier in the show. Talking a lot about getting you guys ready to face Troy, a team that he thinks highly of, making sure that you guys don't look past Troy, because after Troy, get to the NIL tournament. Michigan, Oregon, another really good team, possibly up against you guys. Like, making sure you guys stay focused on Troy. How big of a goal is that for you guys, this week?
Yeah, no, of course, just taking it one game at a time. Troy's one of those teams that is gonna not look, as like a tough opponent at first, and then once they get out there, when the game starts, they're gonna give you a good fight throughout the game.
And then, of course, again, our job is to kind of look ahead. It's not your job. Brian Dutch and the staff are going to say this is the most meaningful game. But for you, Las Vegas awaits on deck, right?
Yeah.
Getting back to Vegas. You played there a couple of times last year. Just what was the experience like last year playing in the Players era? You really broke out in a big way. You were a big reason why San Diego State was in the NCAA tournament last year. Your performance against Houston specifically. What was that experience like for you last year out in Vegas?
It was a great game. Just a surreal feeling being able to go back to Vegas and have a great performance, but just contribute to the team and just winning. That's what it's all about.
Last thing for me, you and Taj this offseason together. What was that experience like? Year one with Taj, you guys have known each other for a long time. Now spending a second season in college together, what has this experience been like collectively for you two?
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, it's all about being on the same page, and that's what we have been so far. So whenever we get on the court together, hopefully I can make that, a lot of time. I think we're gonna be really great out there, like as a duo.
What do you make of how the freshmen, LZ, Tay, how they performed? You're shaking your head like that's a good thing. So how have you? What's your impressions of them so far this season?
I mean, they're just doing their role, and even more. Like on top of that, I think that's great for us.
Farrah, we're going to see you Tuesday night back here at Viejas Arena. The basketball floor will be back here after the blood drive. It'll be SDSU and Troy, and then we'll see you in about a week or a week and a half for Thanksgiving in Las Vegas, the Players Era Festival. We appreciate you swinging by. Great to see you. Congrats on a great start to the year, and we'll see you on Tuesday night, all right?
So thank you for having me.
Great stuff. Farrah Compton, San Diego State sophomore forward, will take a timeout. Kevin Acey broke the news that the Padres reportedly are for sale. You'll hear from Kevin on the other side of Sean and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Breaking news in baseball. Shohei Ohtani, once again, was named the National League MVP, his second straight MVP, his fourth overall, all four of them unanimous. In the American League, just announced, Aaron Judge is the MVP once again. The vote was very close. Aaron Judge received 17 first-place votes. Cal Raleigh received 13 first-place votes. Moving over to the biggest news of the day here in San Diego. The Seidler family is exploring a sale of the Padres. John Seidler released a memo this morning explaining as such. And tonight, 6 p.m., the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis getting you ready for San Diego State against Boise State this Saturday night. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast, reliable, wow.
All right, final hour of John and Jim with you until 6 p.m. at this Aztec for Life blood drive at Viejas Arena. We'll get more into the American League MVP race that was won by Aaron Judge coming up. But we do want to share a conversation with Kevin Acee from earlier. It was Kevin that broke the news that the Padres are exploring a sale. We started the conversation by asking Kevin, why are the Padres pursuing the sale now?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I can't say for certain this was something that was on the radar of, anybody that was following the team. I'm sure it was on yours that ever since Peter died. But in terms of like, why now? Look, you got the labor situation coming up. You've got a TV deal, national and perhaps a local bundle, uncertainty that could be great, might not be. What if it's not? Then the sale prices of, the values of teams might go down. Like, it's better to be out in front of that. You have the fact that, look, the reason that this was on our radar as a possibility was the Seidlers can't really afford to play in this game. And when I say the Seidlers and 8 or 9 other owners, to have a top 6, 7, 8, 9 payroll and be saddled with some of the contracts that they are, and to be thinking long-term down the road, being competitive. This game's not getting any cheaper. Players aren't making less. AJ Preller can't always pull rabbits out of his hat at the trade deadline. It does make a lot of sense that now would be the time. This check was going to come due at some point for this family. And by the way, that includes if Peter Seidler owned the team. And we can get into that, but this team has been saddled with a large amount of debt for a long time. Peter Seidler was not a billionaire. Like, right there, this is sort of writing on the wall that something was going to have to happen for the team. And that could have been a fire sale and keep the team. That could have been, just gradually lower the payroll and keep the team. That could have been, and it appears it will be now, sell the team.
So do you believe, and none of us know this, but as you mentioned there, if Peter were alive today, and it's kind of ironic that this announcement came almost 2 years to the day after his passing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Padres would be doing the exact same thing right now, where you would report the same thing this morning that the Padres would be looking for a sell?
No one can say that,
right?
But that's why I'm like, the check was going to come due. There was something, right? Like Major League Baseball was going to step in 2023, as they did around the time and after Peter's death, and say, look, guys, you got to get some things in order financially. That was whether Peter was the partner, the chairman or not. And might Peter, with his passion for the team, his, art of the possible, might Peter have found some solution, brought in other partners or something like that? sold off a portion of his. Who knows? But they were out of, being able to get any more money out of the owners. They did a couple cash calls there. Peter put in his own money. And so, something was going to have to give. Peter, the quote that's brought up, Peter talking about how it was sustainable. Peter saying it wasn't a one-time thing. Well, those are words. I mean, Peter, I'm really not trying to rain on the Peter Seidler statue committee. I'm not. I would chair that committee, and I can sing his praises all day long. But I'll just say that it was not sustainable spending at the level that he did, and especially with some of the commitments that he spearheaded to some guys that they'll be paying for a long time.
Kevin Acey's our Padres insider. Pretty fascinating stuff. Again, the Padres are exploring a sale of the franchise. In your opinion, what role did Sheil Seidler's lawsuit play in this news?
I can't say what. She's not speaking right now. I haven't been able to get in touch with anybody that represents her, and I haven't seen that anywhere. I'm not aware of any social media postings. I have not reached her. So I can't say that there was an event, right? But the threat of Sheil Seidler needing to, saying, okay, well, I accept that I'm not going to ever be in control of the team. Okay, then I want to sell. Well, the Seidler family can't afford to buy out her 24%. So that's the greatest stake in the team. So if she sold it to someone, that person was going to become the control person. And then why are the Seidlers even in this? And so, that is, it definitely played a role in the long-term viability of the Seidler family keeping the team. I don't know of a direct event that's where she's like, all right, I want out. That I do not know. But certainly the fact that she, or not her, as the beneficiary, she and her children, the trust was the largest, or is the largest stakeholder in the team. That certainly played a role.
That's interesting. Kevin, when you look at today, a lot of Padres fans are rightfully so, sad. And there's uncertainty, obviously, when you have a sell of a team. It's going to be a very uncertain future. But I could also argue this is a good thing because you have John, who, let's be real, doesn't really want to do this. You have the Seidler brothers. You have this lawsuit. You have all this debt that you have talked about and is being reported on and all these contracts. If they didn't end up selling, then I think, and tell me if you agree, that down the road, like you said, this could have gotten way worse.
Yes, and it still might, right? But I love the way you're looking at it because it certainly is true. And by the way, concern is valid also, right? I mean, there's anytime there's uncertainty, and just because some guy comes in who is a true billionaire and has all the money doesn't mean he's going to make the right moves. Steve Cohen and the Mets. Right. But so, we don't know for sure, but that certainly would be a lot of optimism to have if someone with $16 billion bought the team. That'd be great for all of us, right? I like to follow a team that's good and interesting. Of course, I follow a team that is never dull now, and it's getting a little tiring here in the offseason. But I absolutely believe there should be a cause for optimism here, and I absolutely believe. Listen, yesterday I wrote, I was not refuting Bob Nightingale's report. I wrote on Bob Nightingale's report. And I rarely will write about something that isn't going to happen, right? I do not poop on other reporters reporting. I just don't think that's right. There's enough of that in the world today. But that thing took legs when he talked about, maybe they'll have to trade Tatis. And look, there is validity to down the road Tatis being the only tradable guy among the guys who's in, 2028, I believe, through 2033 will make a combined $101.25 million between Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and Fernando Tatis Jr. And the only one you're going to get anything for is unloading the, I believe, $30 million a year that Machado, Tatis will make beginning in 28. So without a doubt, there is some validity to that if you have owners that cannot afford to keep going at the rate they're going now.
Kevin Acey with us right now on John and Jim. Is any of this tied back to AJ Preller's uncertain status, the exploring of a sale with the organization? Does that have anything to do with Preller's future or not?
It has to. The fact that it's not done, I do not believe that it has anything to do like that. He will get an extension as long as they don't go in there and like lowball him, right? Like say, hey, we want you to take a pay cut, because it is my understanding from multiple people that they have not discussed terms yet, but that everyone believes that there is confidence that an extension will get done. But the fact that it hasn't got done in the last month, I can see them waiting to see what happened at the end of the season and all that. But the fact that it hasn't got done in the last, month and a half or so, then yeah, that has to do with this. No one has flat out said that, but certainly people in the organization believe that.
How much does this news affect their off-season plans, if at all?
Multiple people have said, and that's why I have quoted and repeated the quote from Eric Grupner. And then yesterday, as I talked to people that are very familiar with the inner workings, they swear that this will have no effect. And it, look, we're right to question, oh my gosh, because we've seen fire sales before. We know about, at least, we have a basic understanding of wanting to get the books as positive as you can. But look, the reason the Padres are attractive is because they play in San Diego at Petco Park, where the fans have supported them to the tune of record attendances 3 years in a row. And all that is hand in hand with them winning, right? So like, what good does it do to stop right now? It just doesn't do any good. So that's kind of the logic that I'm using to buy into what Eric Grupner has said on the record, and that other people have said that they will maintain a payroll in the top 10 and that should allow them to be competitive. So, hey, I'll trust in AJ Preller to make that happen. He unbelievably, for like basically net zero, what he did at the trade deadline last year, he'll be able to do something this offseason, and they should be a playoff contender. And I think that people can be fairly confident in that. That doesn't mean they will be, or that we can't all like kind of question some things, but like, I think they'll figure out a way to be a playoff contender at whatever it is, $220 million or whatever.
I do think that's reasonable. And like you said, maybe there's a devil's advocate side of it, but like, what about the idea that, and things change, but 9 months ago, Eric Grupner in front of the media said the Seidlers envisioned this organization as a generational asset. And then 9 months later, they're publicly exploring a sale. As in, he could say they envision being a top 10 payroll, but they could still finish 15th, couldn't they?
Sure. And I think they won 93 games at 14th. But besides that, you are totally right. And to the point of what Eric and I believe the Seidlers said, not just John, but probably I think Matt probably in his letter or whatever. But the message was like, we're not going to sell. This is Peter wanted this. Well, there's semantics, first of all. And then second of all, that I think any of us who've been watching this, watching sports ownership for a while, took that with a gigantic grain of salt. As you said, things change, and what else were they supposed to say at that time? Plus, gosh, I mean, some of what they said was true, but I don't think that there was really anybody paying attention that has. And look, you can't. Not everybody understands it. Heck, I barely understand it. But what else were they going to say? This was always a possibility.
Probably don't know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway. When you look at a timetable for a potential sell, like this, it kind of feels like the timing of this, Kevin, isn't the greatest, because you're on the verge of potentially a lockout next offseason. And there's that's before the new CBA and before a new TV deal. So the new owners, if they were to come in before that, have no idea what the other side looks like. In your opinion, what's your best guess on when this thing could really start moving here, that we could find out more information?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know exactly when, and I forget the acronym now, but the firm that they've hired, when they got started, right? Obviously, some potential, or you would assume, my understanding about these things, some potential buyers have known about this for a while. Could it happen in 4 months? Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of owners and a lot of pouring over the books. And by the way, a lot of loans that went out and all that. There's $150 million worth of cash calls that some owners with interest have to be paid back. I mean, there's a lot of fine-tooth comb by lawyers to go over with. It could be very complicated, but they always are. It's a great question, and thank you for saving me right away to say I don't know the answer. A lot of these things can happen like fairly quick, and then some of them get right to the edge, and then after a year or a year and a half, and they don't happen. We did have a sale this year, the Rays, and a sale last year, the Orioles, and the lockout has been being talked about since the last one ended. So there's also great optimism within certain ranks of, now it may be delusional optimism, but there's great optimism within certain ranks of the owners in MLB about a new TV package or streaming package or whatever combination. And so maybe it's not as doom and gloom as we're hearing on the outside, where I'm basically thinking, man, I'm going to have a few months off next year. It's really impossible to say, but those are all like really interesting questions.
Last question from me. Two-part. What are they worth? And is it about the Seidlers finding the right ownership group for the San Diego Padres, or is it about the Seidlers maximizing the return on their investment?
Gosh, I hope it's both. I really do. And that might be idealistic and naive of me to say that both are possible, and that if they really do want to leave, because I think they're getting a bad rap. I do. Like, is it John Seidler's fault that he didn't want to be the chairman of a baseball team, and he's tried to do the best he can by, the way he's gone about it? No, I think they're getting a bad rap. But if they want to cement Peter's legacy and their own legacy, man, I hope they find the best owner for the Padres, because that sure seems possible. Because this is no longer a Seidler or a O'Malley or a Spanos or even a Steinbrenner. This is new money here. This is big money here, and there are entities and people that want to not only be involved in the game and love the game, but also you can make money. Obviously, the Seidlers will make a fair amount of money on this. You ask what the value is. My understanding is more than 5x of revenue. So the Padres, approximately $500 million a year in revenue, should be worth at least 2.5, 2.75, and then that's billion, by the way. And then it's like, well, is there a bidding war? Is there somebody that wants it, and thinks, oh, well, we can really maximize this? Is it $3 billion? I mean, whatever it is, it's a lot more than the $400 and something million in cash that they paid. I know the price that was reported was $800 million, but these people raised $400 million between them, and now they're going to sell the team for quite a bit more.
Kevin Acee, terrific reporting this morning in the UT and joining us here on John and Jim. Appreciate you, Kevin. We'll check in tomorrow when the team is officially sold.
Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be something?
Let's get over with now. Don't drag this thing out.
Wouldn't that be something? Thank you, Kevin. All right, we will react to that conversation on the other side with Kevin Acee, plus the latest with the National League and American League MVPs. Those awards have been handed out. We'll react on the other side. John and Jim. All right, we are at Viejas Arena until 6 p.m. It has been a busy sports day in San Diego, to put it mildly. We do have a giveaway for you. We'll do it between now and 5:40. So in the next 15 minutes, a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld San Diego's Christmas celebration. We'll give those away between now and 5:40. We just heard from Kevin Acee. We haven't fully reacted to the news of the American League MVP, which is Aaron Judge's again. Judge over Raleigh in as close of a race as we've probably had in quite some time, right?
That's not even the story, dude.
Oh, yeah, good point. I forgot.
The story here
Good point.
is not that Aaron Judge won his, third MVP or fourth MVP, whatever it is.
Yeah,
now.
whatever it is, yeah.
It's that Tyler Wade had his MVP moment. Tyler Wade.
Yes.
That Tyler Wade.
That Tyler Wade.
Wadey somehow got his way into the room with Aaron Judge during this announcement. If you go back and you go to Twitter or whatever, and you watch the announcement of Aaron Judge, winning the MVP, if you look at the back row in his room or wherever they're at, you'll see Tyler Wade
and
just in the back of the room. You're like, what's going on?
So I did a deeper dive. It makes no sense, to be clear, but would you believe that the year that Aaron Judge was taken in the first round by the Yankees, by the way, he was taken 32nd overall, Tyler Wade was drafted in the 4th round by the Yankees that year in 2013. And they spent time in 2013, 14, and 15 together in the minor leagues as Yankees farmhands. And so I can imagine how it went today. Judge was like, "Hey, Wadey, what are you doing tonight?" "Oh, nothing. Do you want to come over? I'm having a couple of friends over. We're going to wait around on the couch and see if I win MVP." "All right, yeah, I'll be over."
I got a spot in the back row.
Oh, he was in the back,
ready for you.
He wasn't on that front couch.
No, he wasn't.
But there weren't that many people there. 15 people, and Tyler Wade was one of them.
Oh, way less than that.
Yeah,
dude.
10 people. It was the family, a couple of dogs, a couple of friends. It was not how many people?
Okay,
10.
we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
dude,
including Aaron Judge.
He's in the group he's in a small group. Tyler Wade.
Small group, dude.
Who would have ever thought that Tyler Wade and Aaron Judge, according to this, they are boys. There's no way he would be there if they're not very close friends.
Tyler Wade.
Isn't that amazing?
I saw a screen grab from somebody.
Yeah, you're like, wait,
and I'm
what?
like, this is photoshopped.
Of course.
Like, how is Tyler Wade there? And then watching the video back, lo and behold, there's Wadey.
But serious question: who do you think has had the better career?
Tyler Wade, because to get yourself into that room,
that's amazing.
You have to do some work, bro.
That is amazing.
Like Aaron Judge, okay, it's nice. You won 3 MVPs, whatever.
Yeah,
blah,
this
blah,
is his 3rd, by the way.
To get into that room, you got to do some work. So for me, Tyler Wade, he deserves at least something, because to get into that room, that's a lot of work there, buddy.
Congratulations, Tyler, on your first MVP, or at least the first time you're in the room.
That's the closest he'll ever get to an MVP.
By the way, I'm kind of with you. I said I thought Raleigh would get it, and he was close, but Aaron Judge clearly had the better year.
Dude, his numbers are, besides the home runs, Aaron Judge had everything else.
1,144 OPS, and Cal Raleigh was 200 points below that. I mean, that's got to count for something. He had the better offensive year. You can get carried away with a sexy statistic like home runs, and yeah, it matters. But Aaron Judge had the better year, and deservedly so. He's probably won the American League MVP.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Cal Raleigh win it. Unfortunately, we were talking about this. This is the best chance Cal Raleigh will ever have to win an MVP.
You're not going to have a 60 home run season again.
No, Aaron Judge could win 2, 3, 4 more MVPs at this rate. Cal Raleigh, though, the likelihood of him winning an MVP probably pretty low.
Dude, it is kind of crazy. We're in this era.
He hit 60 home runs and didn't win the MVP. Think about that.
As a switch hitter and catcher.
Yeah, as a catcher. Think about that.
So the most MVPs in baseball history is Barry Bonds with 7. Ohtani now has 4. That is the second most in the history of the sport. That's crazy.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But Aaron Judge, he's not done with 3.
He's got 3.
Yeah, he'll get 4.
He's one of now 4 Yankees ever to have 3 MVPs.
And if I was a betting man, and I kind of am, I would guess that Ohtani one day surpasses Barry Bonds.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's only, 30, 31. He's got 4.
Because what he's going to do is, even in a down year next year for him, say he hits, say it's like 39 homers, and he has a 940 OPS.
Okay. And wins 9 games.
And goes 9-3 with a 3.2 ERA.
That'll be enough.
He'll win the MVP again unanimously. You're right.
It's
it's just how it is when you are going to play both ways. And as I said, I mean, I hate Ohtani, but there's no denying when he is pitching and hitting, he's the best player in the sport. When he's just hitting or he's just pitching, he's not the best player in the sport. He's one of the best players in the sport.
Right, when you combine it.
Yeah, but when he's doing it both ways, he's the best. And yeah, just gotta
deal with it for the next 12 years.
Yeah, you gotta deal with Ohtani, winning MVPs every year, and the Padres selling the franchise. It's fine.
We will put a bow on that news story from today. The Padres are exploring a sale. Plus, we're giving away a family 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld San Diego's Christmas celebration. We're at the Aztec for Life Blood Drive at Viejas Arena. This is John and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is John and Jim again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place, and now open their hotel and spa at Jamul. It is the next level of luxury. It's arrived, and you can treat yourself to a stunning new stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the thrills of Jamul Casino Resort, now all in one unforgettable destination.
Yeah, and savor San Diego's ultimate endless dining experience at Jamul 23. From their world-famous lobster brunch served every morning to the luxurious VIP endless dining experience each evening, indulge in chef-curated specialties, fresh seafood, prime cuts, and decadent desserts, all with stunning panoramic views.
You're going to love the spa at Jamul Casino Resort. You can unwind in style, experience pure relaxation, indulgent treatments, serene spaces, and a retreat designed to refresh your body and mind only at Jamul Casino Resort. Learn more and book a treatment today at JamulCasinoResort.com/spa at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, once again, are the MVPs in the National League and the American League. Cal Raleigh received 13 first-place votes in the American League. Aaron Judge received 17. And Shohei Ohtani was a unanimous selection. Moving over to the news of the day. Kevin Acee reported it first this morning. The Seidler family is exploring a sale of the Padres. We'll talk about that coming up next here. And coming up at 6 p.m., the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis from 6 to 7, getting you ready for San Diego State and Boise State this Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast, reliable, wow.
All right, Jim's back page coming up. We've got a good giveaway for you. We'll do it in the next 10 minutes. A family 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld San Diego's Christmas celebration. That is underway, going on now through January 4th. Underway beginning tomorrow. Learn more at SeaWorldSanDiego.com. We'll give those away in the next 10 minutes. We have discussed at points today at length the Kevin A.C. report from earlier that the Seidler family is exploring the sale of the San Diego Padres. By the way, we'll discuss at greater length tonight at 9:30 on the wrap-up show. Somewhat of a surprising start to the day. Again, the news that they're selling the team isn't overly shocking if you've followed the story since Peter's passing, but here we are, 2 years after the passing of Peter Seidler, the San Diego Padres on the block. And now what comes next, nobody has any idea. They're going to tell us, Jim, business is normal, business as usual moving forward. But it's clearly not, obviously, because now we learn that they are indeed up for sale.
Couple quotes that once I read them, Padres fans, I understand today the what the hell, the anger, sadness, all of it. This is from CEO Eric Grupner earlier this year. Quote, "This team is not going to be relocated. This team is not going to be sold." Quote, "I think that John is committed to the Padres long term." I mean,
well, about that.
I mean, when you say those things, like, fans are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all around the Shield Seidler lawsuit with the Seidler bros. And, at that time, when Eric said those things, I do remember this, like, calmness that came about from Padres fans of like, okay, hey, if Eric's saying it, they're not going to sell. John's going to be around for this long haul. Like, all right, it's fine. Everything's good. And then, boom, 9 months later, less than 9 months, take those words, crumple them all up, throw them in the garbage can because they mean nothing now. They mean absolutely nothing now. And honestly, it's not a bad thing that this is coming about because, like we've said today, this team needs some more cash. They need a more steady cash flow. And the Seidler brothers and John, who doesn't even want this, by the way, he doesn't even want to be the control person or the owner of the franchise. He's secretly a Dodger fan. He's not going to talk to the fan base through the media ever. So you're never going to know what he thinks or feels or anything. So the best course of action is to get this guy out of town and get somebody else in here that's going to be better than him and have more money than him. The problem is
you can't guarantee that.
Can't guarantee it.
Here's the other thing, like what you just brought up. We've mentioned this a couple times today. So Eric Grupner earlier this year, like definitively, as strongly as you can say it with words, is like, team's not being sold.
Yeah, okay.
It's a generational asset. Trust me, guys.
Lost
and
trust
then,
there.
And then I see at the GM meetings, he's like, trust me, we're going to be a top 10 payroll. But, I mean, you can say it, and then they can tell me, well, we were actually 14th in payroll, but if you look at our CBT commitments,
shut up.
We were really – no. Like, a top 10 payroll, what does it even mean? You've already got $200 million in commitments for next year. You can't get out from under them. So maybe you're just going to fall – into a top 10 payroll. It's very hard to believe what is coming out of the organization when this type of news drops on you. When we've been told since Peter's passing, it's a generational asset. It's going to stay in the family name. We want to bring championships to the city of San Diego. And then you're like, just kidding. Actually, we'll take the $2.5 billion and roll.
Yeah, I don't believe anything that franchise says. I really don't. I don't believe anything Eric Grupner says. I think he has a sliminess to him. I don't believe anything, obviously, what John or any Seidler bro says. AJ Preller never says anything, but he's probably the guy that I would trust the most in that franchise right now. Mm-hmm. So, look, if going forward, hopefully this turns out to be the best thing in the world. But you just don't know. You just have no clue today. You have no idea how this thing is going to shape out. You don't know if this thing has to bottom out to get better, right? To get on the other side.
What does that look like?
I don't know. And that's the thing is nobody knows anything today. The only thing that we know is that this team is going to eventually be sold. And when? No clue. But at least I think, I can look at it this way, and I hope Padres fans can end up looking at it this way, is that do you really want a guy who is never going to communicate with you through the media, who is never going to speak publicly, who is a Dodger fan at heart, who doesn't have a deep pocket? Do you really want him as the control person, owner of this franchise?
Yeah,
the answer to me is no.
Yeah, I mean, I would take like Kermit the Frog as a control person if the team on field wins. Now, the issue, to your point, when you add up all the things you just mentioned, when you don't have the deep pockets, when you don't have the desire, I think you have to have two things, in my opinion. Here are the things that matter most to me. You have to have an unyielding willingness to spend, even in a market like San Diego.
Yeah.
And you have to have a deep, deep passion. You can't have one or the other. I think the deep, deep passion was Peter, but what Kevin was saying earlier was like, well, at some point, stuff was going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the deep, deep passion. You have to have the pockets because you're competing with teams like the Mets and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And, like it's an uphill sport where the money does really matter. If I own the Green Bay Packers, I have the same resources as the New York Giants. But when I own the San Diego Padres, I can be outdone in resources by a team like the LA Dodgers. So easier said than done. I want someone that is as passionate as anyone, and I want someone that has the resources that are necessary to compete with quote unquote big market teams. Is that asking too much in a city like San Diego? I hope not, but that's what I want.
Because the fan base deserves it. I don't know if the Seidler brothers are going to do right by the fan base. I think that if anything, if we're being realistic here, whoever offers the most money, that's where the team's going to go. But I hope whoever does offer the most money is the right person.
No doubt. I agree.
And if you look at the owners in sport,
there's some bad ones.
There's a lot of bad ones. And there's, I would say, very few great ones.
Yeah, great. Probably true.
There's good ones, but there's very few great ones. And I also do think Peter Seidler, how many Peter Seidlers are there out there in ownerships throughout the major sports?
Little engines that could against all odds?
Not many. I mean, I would put maybe Steve Ballmer as far as a guy who wants to win at all costs.
Yeah, but he is
he cares.
But he has the pockets, right?
He has the pockets.
Like Peter Seidler was doing it against all odds. Everyone was saying it publicly, like they don't have the resources to do this.
Yeah, I have to caution Padres fans. The likelihood of the next owner being remotely close to Peter Seidler are very slim because Peter was one of one. And this family has used his name to try to get the fan base on their side. And it completely backfired on him because everything that they have said since the passing of their brother, it's just a giant contradiction. They have gone back on their word. Everything. We want to have this in the family generational asset, won't be sold. You're a bunch of liars because I guarantee you there was a thought early on in this process that they're going to sell the franchise. Yet they continue to parade Peter's name out there like, oh, we're doing this for Peter. We're not going to. This is a generational asset. Peter, this is going to be in the family of the Seidlers for No. You knew you were going to sell, and now it's all coming to fruition because you can't hide it. You can't hide a sell, right? So this was eventually going to come out, and now it did. And my guess is they've been working on this for a little while.
But John, they extended Jackson Merrill. Okay, it's like the most team-friendly deal ever. Any organization should extend its young star. Like that's not some amazing commitment from an ownership group that they locked up Jackson Merrill to the most favorable deal in like modern Padres history.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, okay, there's some credit there, but again, it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. But in all likelihood, it will not be with John Seidler running the San Diego Padres. All right, call right now if you want a family 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld San Diego's Christmas celebration. Caller 4, you are going, 877-767-4760. Caller 4, you are going. Twinkling Lights meet Ocean Delights, November 14th through January 4th. You can experience the magic of the season and meet incredible animals like belugas, penguins, and sea otters. Plus, check out a winter wonderland with a million dazzling lights and the all-new Clyde and Seymour's Christmas. Tickets and more, SeaWorldSanDiego.com.
Yeah, the
Caller
show's over.
4-877-767-4760. Jim's back page is next. This is John and Jim. All right, final time. John and Jim. San Diego Sports 760 with you for a few more minutes here at Viejas Arena on campus, San Diego State. We'll be at Snapdragon Saturday night. San Diego State, Boise State, 7:30 kick time. Pregame coverage at 5:30. Then back here at Viejas Tuesday night for San Diego State basketball against Troy. And, of course, back on John and Jim tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon. I'm sure there'll be some Padres news to discuss tomorrow. Think they'll be sold by the time we're on the air tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Padres will be sold tomorrow? Talk about the new ownership group?
That'd be
great.
That'd be crazy.
I don't think it happens that quick, would be my guess. But
my guess is it won't, John.
Never say never.
Dude, it's FanFest is on. They announced FanFest yesterday, by the way. Did you see that?
I did. Late January?
Late January. And then right before the season starts, or maybe in season, like first month, City Connect 2.0s come out. They're going to just try to like, look over here while the house is on fire.
Are they doing like a Who Wants to Be an Owner night? Prospective owner night. Come out.
Who on right now, let's just do this real quick. A little exercise.
Yeah.
We follow like a lot of Padres Twitter. Give me the top like Padres Twitter names that for owner of this team.
Top Padres. Oh, the name that we've seen today?
Ben Fadden, Too Much Morton's
that they've mentioned.
DSG.
Who has said that? Who's been mentioned the most from ownership?
No. Like they're like you said, become an owner for the night, like a giveaway.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, all of them. Too Much Morton's, Talking Friars.
Pimp Lord. He'd be a great owner.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of who people have told me should own the Padres, I see a lot of Joe Tsai.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of Joe Tsai.
Mark Cuban,
Stan Kroenke.
Darren put this name out there. I think we've talked about this. Theo
Epstein.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's got 2.5 bill, but I'm sure he can get a group together.
Get a group together, bro.
Maybe that's the hold up on AJ's deal.
If you told me right now that Theo Epstein is the new control person of the Padres,
let's ride. Let's roll.
Sign me up right now. I think every Padres fan would absolutely love that.
We might be a little too early in that process to be able to say that, though. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but that right there is a name that I think all Padres fans could get behind. Is Theo Epstein? If he got a group together to buy the Padres and he becomes the control person of the team,
is that going to happen?
Baseball, I think, would love that. I think Padres fans would love that, and I think that would be the franchise would be in good hands if that were the case.
All right, you work on that.
Sure.
Tonight. You call Theo tonight. Do you want to do a back page?
Sure, I got a couple.
All right, let's do it.
So MLB is hosting a golf tournament. It's the Capital One MLB Open, hosted at Shadow Creek.
Yeah.
And so all 30 Major League Baseball teams have 2 alumni players that will be playing as part of that, representing that franchise.
Yeah. So who do the Padres have?
When you think of the Padres and you think of alums, do you think of Jason Marquis?
No.
Adrian Gonzalez?
No, not Padres first. No, I don't. Is that there too?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think of like Will Myers. Right? I think of like
Tyler Wade.
Yeah, Tyler Wade and Will Myers over that group. So those are the 2 Padres.
Yeah, that are representing the Padres.
And isn't this thing on like TV or something?
Yeah.
What channel?
TNT.
Okay.
Coverage begins November 18th.
All right,
9:30 p.m. Eastern.
If they win, are they the new owners?
Well, they already won in the pickleball tournament.
True. Man, they're cleaning up this offseason.
So, look, if Jason Marquis and Adrian Gonzalez,
that'd be a great offseason.
It'd be an awesome offseason.
Win the pickleball, win the golf,
sell the team.
That's
Let's
a good
go.
offseason.
Yeah, hire a first-time manager, have your manager quit.
Did Craig Stammen know about this? Presumably he did, right? Hey, by the way, the team's for sale.
Dude, I don't know.
How have we not mentioned that once in 4 hours? He had to know.
Because he didn't even thank like John Seidler on day one.
He had to know.
Jeez. This is big news in like the brand world in the NBA. So Steph Curry.
Oh, here we go.
And Under Armour have parted ways. Under Armour
announced that happened
following the release of the Curry 13, which will be the final Curry brand and Under Armour shoe. Curry brand will move forward as an independent company.
What?
So Steph Curry is a sneaker free agent come next season.
That's crazy.
Now he's only got like 2 or 3 more seasons left in the tank potentially, but still, the Curry brand. I don't think Under Armour's done a good enough job promoting the Curry brand
with it recently.
But he's taking that brand and moving it and taking it independently wherever it goes.
By the Padres. Please.
I mean, Under Armour, completely fumbled this Curry deal.
I thought you were about to curse.
Oh, no.
Relax, dude.
I'm like, Last Day Radio.
Really did, dude.
Boom.
It was a huge deal. When they came out with that like a decade ago, that was massive. I've heard nothing about it over the last 5 years. I'm serious. I've heard nothing about it.
Because Under Armour stinks.
Yeah, they're around.
They're not good at all.
Okay, so he's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
I mean,
more importantly, he's a sneaker free agent.
Yeah.
Finally, McDonald's, John, is bringing back their famous McRib. McDonald's is once again answering the call of fans as the iconic. Just put this on the menu full time. What are we doing?
I know. You've said this so many times.
Yeah. The iconic McRib makes a limited time return to select U.S. locations despite multiple farewell tours over the years.
Yeah, but if it's on the menu every day, nobody will want it. The reason people want it is because they take it away.
Like, oh, sorry, we're taking it away.
But you like the Big Mac when it's on the menu every day.
But yeah,
you're saying it's not as good as that.
I've
never had one.
I've never had one. There's no appeal to it for me.
It sounds very sweet to me.
Sweet.
Yeah, like they probably put so much sauce on it.
Oh, there's a lot of sauce on
that's
it.
what
I
I'm saying.
that.
I don't like
My cousin loves them.
Yeah.
Eddie on the show,
Is he
on
love
Rock
it?
105.3, like that's his favorite thing
Okay.
from McDonald's.
Interesting.
And I'm like, I just can't do it.
I can't get behind
Like,
that.
I'd rather just get a quarter pounder with cheese.
I'd rather buy the Padres.
Then
We're
do
the
it.
new owners, guys.
I'm buying this team. My first move, I'm trading for Ohtani and Judge. Sorry, Toddy. Peace. That report was accurate. Bye-bye.
Wheeling and dealing.
All right. If you missed anything today, sports, including our conversation with Kevin Acey, sportsst.com. What do you got?
If I was the owner, I'd give me a credential again.
sportsst.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify. Thank you to the Aztec for Life Blood Drive here at Viejas Arena. We're back tomorrow at 2 p.m. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.